The tents went up. You know it's big time at Boston College when they stop the higher education, at least take it out of the classroom and get ready for some big-time serious football. The Hokies are in the house. Both teams with designs on making the ACC championship game, and both a game off the pace right now. Maybe those Gobblers would be ready for Thanksgiving. See those kids studying in the tents? It's midterms. You got to put the books aside at least for a little while for this game between Boston College and Virginia Tech tonight. Glad to have you along with us, alongside Lou Holtz, Mark May. I'm Reese Davis. You know what? It is midterm time. We're about halfway through the season. 9 undefeated teams left. BCS standings due out on Sunday. We anticipated a matchup of unbeatens on ESPN Saturday night between Florida and Auburn. The Tigers fell a little short against Arkansas, and Arkansas perhaps provided a blueprint, if other teams have the personnel to do it, to be able to beat the Tigers.
Oh, the Auburn staff did just a tremendous job. They looked at Auburn and said they aren't as big on defense, and we're going to run the ball. They have 2 great running backs. They got Felix Jones. They have Darren McFadden. They said we're going to give the ball to McFadden 25 times. Felix Jones going to get it 15. We'll figure out what we'll do with the other 20 plays. Auburn just could not handle the strength and the size and the quickness of Arkansas.
Well, I think this Auburn offense matches up well against the Florida offense, the Auburn defense. Will Muschamp, the defensive coordinator, you know what he has to do, Reese?
Probably has to stop the run.
Got to stop the run, and besides that, he's got to get these players to believe what they can do. The Will Herrings of this defense, the David Irons of this defense, to make plays, get the confidence back that they had going against LSU and making big plays defensively and creating turnovers on the defensive side of the ball.
Well, the question becomes, though, can Florida run downhill the way Arkansas did against
Well,
Auburn?
if they have any success against this Auburn defense, it'll be with Tim Tebow, the quarterback, and not their running backs.
Well, you know, the other thing, too, Auburn's going to get Trey Blackman back. He hasn't played any college football yet, but he's been on suspension, highly touted linebacker. They need an impact player on defense. We'll have impact from Auburn and Florida across the ESPN family of platforms. Full circle coverage. You'll see the game from every angle, hear every commentator imaginable's perspective on the game. ESPN, ESPN2, 360, full circle, all starting at 7:45 Eastern Time on Saturday night for the Tigers and the Gators. And on ABC Saturday night, Michigan goes into Happy Valley to take on Penn State. It's been a pretty happy place for the Wolverines. Penn State hasn't beaten Michigan at home in 10 years. They'd like to turn that around. Michigan has won 7 straight, in fact, and Penn State comes into this game off a very fortunate performance against Minnesota. They got a very fortuitous call late in the game in overtime and ended up winning the game against Minnesota by a single point. Even so, Lloyd Carr remains impressed.
I'm very impressed with this Penn State team. When you look at offensively, they're rushing for 191 yards a game, which is amongst the leaders in this country. And offensively, a great tailback, Tony Hunt. We tried to recruit him here. I thought for a minute we were going to get him, but he's having a great year. And of course, Brown, I think, is one of the best tackles in the nation. And they have probably more speed at the skill positions than anybody we've played this year.
Joe, where does last year's loss to Michigan rank among the most disappointing losses you've had at Penn State?
Well, not because it was necessarily Michigan. It was because of the fact that we could have had an undefeated season and been in the national championship picture. So it was a disappointing. Yeah, it was disappointing in the sense if we had lost any one of them, any game in that fashion, it would have been obviously a disappointment to us because we thought. Once we got by Northwestern and we had a little confidence and started to play well, we felt we had a shot at being, you know, right up there and fighting for the #1 spot.
Mario Manningham is the guy who broke Penn State's heart last year. Won't be around on Saturday night because of a knee injury. How big an impact is this on the Wolverines, Mayday?
A huge impact. Quarterback Chad Henning, you know who he's going to miss the most? Right there, Super Mario. He's got 13 touchdown passes on the season. 9 of them have been to Mario Manningham. But that's not the only key. The offense, how about the defense? Michigan's old school. They like to do it with their defensive coordinator, Ron English, calling plays for Prescott Burgess. making plays on the defensive side of the ball, and Rondell Biggs making plays. Lamar Woodley, #1 run defense in the nation, only 40 yards a game. Their key is they have to stop Tony Hunt. You know how many consecutive games he's rushed for over 135 yards, Reese?
Yeah, he's gone over 4, hasn't he?
There you go. That's why they've got to stop him, Coach.
Yeah, but I want to tell you, Penn State has a great chance to win if Anthony Morelli will avoid making mistakes. He threw 3 interceptions at Ohio State University. 2 of them were run back for a touchdown. Penn State played them very even. Penn State outplayed Notre Dame statistically. They've had trouble putting the ball in the end zone and eliminating the mistake. You cannot do that. Trust me, on Saturday night, in that area with Joe Paterno, Penn State is a very difficult team to beat. Michigan will find that out on Saturday.
Are they going to be happy in Happy Valley after the game?
No. But Michigan will win, but it's going to be a heck of a game, and Penn State's got a great chance.
And, still only 1 conference loss for Penn State after they survived at Minnesota last week, so they still have the Big Ten title in their sights. The ACC title in the sights of both Virginia Tech and Boston College. Both teams coming in with 1 conference loss so far on the season. We're getting set for a little ACC football on a Thursday night. Chris Fowler and Kirk Herbstreit have the call.
Maurice, welcome to Boston. Frank Beamer's ever been beaten in a conference road game in 2+ years, 9-0. And of course, the Hokies well acquainted and very successful on Thursday night. A beautiful autumn evening here in New England. The leaves are turning. The tailgaters are getting set to watch the Eagles and the Hokies here. New rivals in this conference. It's a conference turned upside down. Some surprising leaders to both divisions in the ACC. NC State, though, still has 4 conference road games, so the lead is tenuous. BC at 1-1 has a win over Clemson. Virginia Tech, after losing at home to Georgia Tech, finds himself in a hole, but again, no dominant team in this league. It's going to come right down to the final weekend, but we do know this. The winner tonight can continue to hope, Kirk. The loser tonight's going to be in a bit of trouble. As one Hokie player said, winning and losing this game may be the difference between going to a bowl like the Peach Bowl or going to Boise. They feel like that's what's on the line. If you lose #2 in the league at this point, it could be dicey.
Well, Virginia Tech, obviously a team that wants to just get back out on the field after the way they played in their last game. And they've got plenty of impact players to affect the outcome of the game and what they feel can happen throughout this ball game. Brandon Orr, their go-to guy in the backfield. Usually at Virginia Tech, you see a couple backs, but this year it's been all Brandon Orr. Eddie Royal leads a talented group of wide receivers. They'll look for some one-on-one opportunities on the outside. And Vince Hall, #9. They have Xavier Deeby and Vince Hall. Both linebackers will be very, very active tonight against the Boston College offense that has to establish the run to have any chance of moving the ball.
Hokie defense with a chip on its shoulder. They fell in a 21-0 hole against Calvin Johnson and Georgia Tech, so they're a little bit angry tonight. For Boston College, here's a team that's just 1 play away from being undefeated and very highly ranked, or maybe a few plays away from being 1-4. They've had 4 games decided on the final series.
I think Tom O'Brien, year after year, one of the more underrated coaches in all of college football. He's got a group this year that's very young, and for him to have them at 4-1 is impressive. Matt Ryan, I think one of the better throwing quarterbacks in the ACC, has great experience now as a signal caller. And Tony Gonzalez, he doesn't have Calvin Johnson-like ability, but Tony Gonzalez is the favorite target of Matt Ryan, and he'll look for some one-on-one opportunities against Virginia Tech. And Jalon Dunbar, the middle linebacker, the leader of this defense, and this youthful defense with so many injuries, will keep it a close eye on #40, especially if Brian Toll cannot go. Dunbar will have to step up.
Is there a future kicker in this crowd of Boston College fans? We'll tell you the amazing story of the walk-on BC kicker who was in this crowd a year ago. Tonight, his very first college game at any level. Kickoff coming up shortly from Boston.
Place kicking has been an adventure in the ACC and across the country in many aspects. Chris and Kirk will tell you the story of the new BC kicker coming up in just a little bit. And coming up Sunday afternoon, we'll have the first official release of the BCS standings. There will be a lot of angst caused despite the fact that there's a lot of football left to be played. However, had the BCS come out this week, our Brad Edwards, who is a renowned BCS guru, shows us exactly what they would have looked like coming in to this week. Ohio State and USC sitting on top, in Florida for the moment on the outside looking in of the national championship game. And you see Michigan, Louisville, Notre Dame rounding out the top 6. So now the question becomes, guys, you see how Brad projects the BCS would have looked this week and how it will likely look barring upsets or barring a Florida loss next week. who's number 2 now? Yeah, there are some candidates here. Let's take a look at some numbers and see if we can persuade you guys to perhaps change your thinking. Although, based on what you said on College Football Final Saturday night, Mayday, it looks like SC has some ammunition in your corner.
And Brad Edwards is a genius because he agrees with me. The projections will come out USC, and I'm taking USC as the number 2 team in the country. You want to know why?
Why?
Because they defeated Arkansas, Nebraska, Washington State, took their best shots, and this team is an injured football team. They're not healthy yet, and I think what's key for this team, when they get healthy, they're only going to get better. USC's number 2.
It's difficult for me to say they're number 2 when their offense scored 1 touchdown against Washington State. Their other touchdown was on a fake field goal, etc. They have won the last 2 games on the last play, or actually the last series, where the other team had an opportunity to throw it in the end zone. I don't care about how many games a team has won, what percent. It's what they have left. Florida still has to go to Auburn. They have Georgia, they have South Carolina, and they have Florida State. Now, to me, I think that I'm not sure Ohio State is number 1. And I say that based on this. If you look at it statistically, they're not in the top 40 on total defense, but they're number 1 in scoring defense. They have capitalized on other teams' mistakes.
I'm just going to repeat something I've heard over and over and over again on Saturdays.
I'm not going to hear.
It doesn't matter if you win by 30 or if it doesn't matter if you win by 1. That's all that counts at the end of the day is wins and losses. Have you heard that before, Reese?
I know. You know what I've heard, though, is you don't have to be impressive. You just have to be the best team in the stadium on that day if you're number 1. So what happened to that with Ohio State?
Well, that is still basically true. But what I am saying is just project it down the road. Who do you think is going to end up going undefeated? I do not believe Southern Cal is going to go undefeated. I have great respect for it. I think California is playing tremendous right now. I'm not sure Ohio State is going to go undefeated. I think Florida has the best chance to go undefeated. I think Notre Dame's definitely going to end up 10-1. They could possibly end up in there, although their schedule is going to hurt them somewhat.
I think Florida's going to have a tough time going undefeated for the remainder of the week.
You sound like a comedian out of work.
Well, we'll see if Tommy Tuberville shares those sentiments. The Auburn coach will join us during halftime of the Virginia Tech-Boston College game as we get set for a little ACC tilt. A couple of teams that have at least a mild degree of desperation, not only for their bowl positioning, but for their hopes of trying to get to the ACC championship game. Virginia Tech and Boston College coming up shortly. When we rejoin you at halftime, we'll also look ahead to the weekend's action and get you up to date on Clemson, who's getting an early start. The Temple of Doom taking on the Tigers. Tigers also in the running for some honors that we'll talk about. Tuberville will be here to talk about how to handle that 2-quarterback system that the Florida Gators employ and the Pontiac game-changing performance. A lot of great nominees. We'll see who the winner is. Read along with us, everybody. College football lives here. BC, Virginia Tech coming up.
ESPN's College Football Primetime, brought to you by Under Armour Performance. The advantage is undeniable. Dish Network, more all-digital packages to choose from and more ways to save. And Lunesta, ask your doctor if Lunesta is right for you.
Boston College Eagles, can they protect their house on ESPN and College Football Primetime presented by Applebee's as the 22nd ranked Hokies come calling to Chestnut Hill.
Previously on Thursday night.
Johnson collects it and heads to the end zone. Thank you. Oh, the Mississippi Gambler got him. I mean, it had the ball for the entire third quarter. To the end zone. Jump ball. Touchdown.
Huge win for North Carolina State.
They are the reigning rulers of Thursday night. The Virginia Tech Hokies invade the Heights to battle Boston College. Each side enters with a wound in the wild and wide open ACC. Both must win to stay in the hunt for the conference crown. Can Beamer Ball prevail? Or will the Eagles be screaming? Virginia Tech versus Boston College, a crucial mid-season collision now. The BC students getting pumped up, but from their ranks just a year ago has come a central player in tonight's game, his first college football game. With more on this incredible story, down to the field, and Aaron Andrews. Aaron?
Well, Chris, this is like a script right from the movies. It's BC's version of Rudy, Steve Apanavicius. What a difference a year makes for him. Last season, he was in the cheering section, his body all painted up. There he is wearing the B on his chest for BC, and tonight he is kicking for the Eagles. So how did it all happen? Like I said, a normal student. He came out to the field last season and started kicking field goals for fun. A BC graduate assistant spotted him, told Tom O'Brien about him, and Apanavicius walked on to the team last year. Well, tonight, starter Ryan Oliger is suspended for the game, so Apanavicius gets the goal. His very first football game. It's on national TV. This guy didn't even know how to put football pads on before he walked onto this team. He's been all over the newspapers, been all over TV this week. His mom and dad are here, and guys, he's even got his very own nickname. And Chris, I know you're the punk rock authority on this cruise. We're going to let you explain that one.
Yeah, the guys started calling him Sid Vicious, Aaron, and Tom O'Brien thought that was pretty funny. Then
the wrestler.
They turned to somebody and said, who's Sid Vicious? That Kirk is Sid Vicious, the former bass player for the Sex Pistols, who has since passed away many years ago. There are Steve's parents, Ben and Jan, and he will kick off his very first organized football game. A high school soccer and baseball player, as Aaron said, so many nights and days in the stadium kicking by himself. Now, bright lights, sellout crowd, national TV, kicking for his school. And he says the city of Boston against a team that's known for blocked kicks. We'll see if Apanavicius comes into play later on. As it is, BC won the toss and deferred. Hokies will get the football first, and here is first play of Apanavicius' college career. Not bad. Boots it inside the 5 to Eddie Royal. Takes it up the middle and is stopped at the 25. Now he's a college football player. He got down there, huh?
He wanted a tackle. He wanted to make a tackle there. Attaboy.
This is exciting for him.
First of all, he looked relaxed. Not only all day yesterday, but all day today. But I'm looking thinking, oh, my gosh, he might have to make a tackle here. He might make a tackle. He's coming up. That's great.
He better not get hurt. He should stay well clear of that action. They may need him for a critical field goal or PAT. So Sean Lennon and the Hokies offense to begin at the 25, and Brandon Orr on the play fake. They come out firing. This is predictable. Eddie Royal makes the catch and slices through the secondary for a first down. Well, Frank Spaziani, the D coordinator of the Eagles, said they would throw on the first down. That was very predictable, and with Josh Hyman, one of their receivers, out suspended, it looked for Morgan and Royal to make some plays.
These receivers can make plays, but it's going to be Sean Glennon and his ability to distribute the football. Boy, he came off a great game. Once they got down against Georgia Tech, gained a lot of confidence. We'll see tonight if he can pick up where he left off against Georgia Tech.
Glennon has been improving every game, and this is his first year as a starter, and this is the workhorse. Or nice pursuit, and he's hit from behind, and it was Robert Francois, the linebacker, who got there. So finally, Boston College secondary healthy for the first time this year as they welcome back key guys, leaders like Jamie Silva and the strong safety Ryan Glasper.
It is good to see both of them back, but a guy that I want to keep an eye on tonight to see how much he can go is, I think, the leader of the entire team, and that's Brian Toll. He's been out with a shoulder. They said tonight he may go. He has not played with a lot of contact for weeks. We'll see tonight how much football Brian Toll can play.
He's also a short yardage ball carrier on 2nd and long. They whip it out to Royal on the far side. He jukes back toward the center of the field. And not much running room there. And it'll set up 3rd and medium as Royal has a couple of catches already. The Hokie team that really has not been typical, Kirk. You used to see in Virginia Tech muscle the football with a big offensive line. They have struggled. They're the 90th ranked rushing offense in the country so far.
Well, and the reason, I think, is they're still trying to build some continuity with some new personnel up front, Chris. That has slowed down their running game.
So 4 receivers on 3rd and 4. They flip it out to Orr. He's a workhorse runner and receiver. He slips away from the first group of tacklers, fights near the 50, but will not get the first down. So Boston College allows the pass on the Hokies' opening offensive play and then able to force the punt.
The thing that you saw there from Boston College, and something they have to do tonight, is gang tackle. When you have a talented back, with a lot of skill. You've got to get a lot of jerseys, a lot of red jerseys around the ball carrier. And that time, that's exactly what they did in that big third down here early in the game.
276-pound punter Nick Schmidt for the Hokies. They've had troubles on special teams this year, uncharacteristic of Beamer. Had a punt blocked by Georgia Tech, trying to button that up here. Not much pressure from the Eagles. Schmidt gets it away. And it'll bounce at the 1 and into the end zone. Almost got it knocked dead down there inside the 5. But Boston College will take over at the 20 after a 51-yard punt. So here's this Boston College offense. And the offensive line, guys like Martin and Beekman and Cherilus, all 3-year starters. Traditionally excellent, physical, tough offensive lines at Boston College.
I think tonight you'll see Dana Bible, the offensive coordinator, break some tendencies with what he wants to do with his play calling, which means Matt Ryan might get a chance to show his arm a little bit more on 1st and 10 tonight to try to slow down the Virginia Tech defensive speed that they have.
Ryan 9-2 as a starter here. He'll throw in his first play wide open. Is the tight end Ryan Thompson. Gets rocked as he crosses the 40, but a nice play call by Dana Bible. Vince Hall finally with the tackle. Big gain.
This is exactly what I'm talking about here, Chris, is you get a defense that's aggressive and flying to the football. Look how they pursue. They're chasing down the tendency of running the football on 1st and 10. That's why you break the tendency, go to play action, come back the other way, and throw the football to Ryan Thompson.
First running play is a handoff to L.V. Whitworth, and he powers ahead for 10 yards into Virginia Tech territory. The Hokies defense strong at linebacker. All 3 guys are Virginia natives, Hill, Xavier Adibi, and Vince Hall, but they've been gashed in the first couple of plays here.
Well, anytime you break some tendencies, you keep a defense off balance, you keep them guessing, and Chris Ellis is back. He was suspended last week and did not play along with Josh Morgan. Him being in there is very, very important to this defense.
You need about a yard on 2nd and 1. And a fumble as Whitworth was going through the hole. Ball still loose. Now they dive on it. Looks like Boston College has gotten it back.
Is it just me, or was that ball just kind of hanging around there? Nobody seemed to want it. I mean, once the ball was fumbled by Whitworth, and he never really had possession of the football.
He got it back as he was going
right
down.
Right there, it's still a loose ball. Very, very fortunate that
Beekman, the guard,
is
got
able to get
it.
back there and pick it up.
And fortunate that it was only 2nd and a yard. It sets up a 3rd and short now. Whitworth still in the ball game. Brandon Robinson in motion. Whitworth gets the call once again, running right, cuts it back, and he's stopped short of the first down. He'll lose yardage. Good penetration as Vince Hall was able to get in there and help out Nolan Burchett and the defensive lineman. So Boston College, 2 great plays out of the chute, a 2nd and 1, and they move backwards from there. We'll have to punt.
Bud Foster, one of the better defensive coordinators in college football. His personality is seen on the way his defense plays. They're very, very aggressive, and a good job on 2nd and 1. They get a catch a break, and then 3rd and 1 they attack and force the punt.
So the second baseman and the punter for BC, Johnny Ayers, to boot it to Eddie Royal. Royal calling for a fair catch, and he'll take it at the 14-yard line. So promising some drawing here, and they separate them very quickly. Second possession for Boston College, a scoreless first quarter here in Beantown when you come back. Patriots have a bye week. Red Sox are done. Bruins out of town. Celtics haven't started, and so the Eagles have this city to themselves here. And Boston College fans, they're learning from the Clemsons, from the Virginia Techs as they get into this ACC, how to make it a tough night atmosphere for the visiting team.
Yeah, I think they are, and I think the fact that they, the way they started this football game is very, very important to get their confidence up. And it's going to be interesting to see how Boston College their defense plays in the early going in this game, because they're feeling that crowd.
Now the defense playing well as Glennon is stopped for a loss there on 1st down. This is the kind of poor 1st down play that has bothered the Hokies too much this season. They don't want to get what they call behind schedule on their offense. They have been the kings of Thursday. 12-1 at BC, the only team to beat them here.
Got to go all the way back to 1995. They've had a lot of success. Frank Beamer has enjoyed it not only in Lane Stadium but also on the road.
2nd and long. It's Orr making good yardage here and set up a 3rd and medium.
Now, Brandon Orr is a young man you're going to have to keep a close eye on tonight. I don't know how many years we've been doing Virginia Tech football. They've always had a couple running backs that they're able to rotate in and out. With Brandon Orr, he is the running game. And he has a lot to do with the success of this offense, and he has to carry the load for 4 quarters, so we'll have to keep an eye on him and his health and his durability throughout this football game.
3rd and 6. Orr to the right of Sean Glennon. BC brings some pressure, and now a whistle. Did he get the snap off in time?
No, sir.
Prior to the snap, delay a game, offense number 5. 5 yards, still 3rd down.
In this conference as a quarterback, you're going to see almost nothing but zone pressure, and that's what the Eagles will bring on a 3rd passing down situation.
Yes, I mean, I think you see that really throughout most conferences in college football, with the exception of maybe the Pac-10. You see a little
but
bit
more so here, don't you
man.
think?
Yeah, the ACC, that's the way they bring up pressure. The Big Ten the same way.
4 receivers for Glennon on 3rd and 11. This time they handle the pressure, fires down the middle, high, tipped, almost intercepted. He was looking over the middle for Josh Morgan, who was pretty well covered.
Look at right here, the defensive line just closing in on him, and that was Aikens, the linebacker, who got in there. The ball's actually thrown on the money. Josh Morgan has got to be able to make that catch. He somehow squeezed it in there. Would have been a great catch, but 3rd and long, you got to try to convert when the quarterback gets the ball off like that.
It's the freshman Wes Davis, the backup safety, who had a chance on the carom to make the interception, and Nick Schmidt in to punt for the 2nd time tonight. It's a high boot. Driving Turbo back to his 35, breaks the tackle, spins to the 45. And Boston College in the 2nd possession for Ryan. And again, a little chippiness on the special teams. Nothing too serious. Eagles near midfield in front of the home crowd for their 2nd possession midway in the 1st quarter.
ESPN's College Football Primetime is presented by Applebee's Neighborhood Grill and Bar. Eating good in the neighborhood. Applebee's. And in part by Circuit City. For the hottest new technology, think Circuit City. Just what I needed.
Well, Colonial Pipers. Scottish flavor here in Beantown. There's a guy who's a legend around here. 22 years ago, number 22, won the Heisman Trophy. Doug Flutie. His nephew, Billy Flutie, is a freshman quarterback here. Same hometown. Natick, Mass. Billy perhaps will get his chance in years to come. Andre Callender, now they're back in the I formation. Play fake from Ryan, who flips it short and low, incomplete. So again, a 1st down throw for the Eagles, but a little off the target for Ryan.
Well, you're going to see, again, more and more of that to try to slow down the speed and aggressiveness of Virginia Tech. But that time, I think there was a little bit of confusion in the backfield between the running backs. They both wanted to just kind of leak out of the backfield and be an outlet. But Palmer, the fullback, and the running back that time headed in the same direction.
And 2nd and 10, they fire over the middle. There was some contact before the ball was thrown. Macho Harris, the corner, tied up with Gonzalez there. Only 2 receivers in the pattern, and they threw the quick slant there. There's Macho Harris.
Macho Harris, good coverage here. Not much contact at all. You're going to get away with that. But Macho Harris, Bud Foster telling us this week that Macho Harris could be the next great corner in Blacksburg. He's showing a lot of promise, very physical at about 6 feet, 200 pounds, and only a sophomore. Has some great instincts. Bud Foster likes quite a bit. Third and 10. Ryan steps up, fires, almost intercepted.
Looked across the middle, and DJ Parker, the free safety, stepped in front of Brandon Robinson. So an impressive series for the pass defense of Virginia Tech, and they force a 3-and-out. BC had gained some valuable yardage in that exchange of punts, had good field position, comes up empty.
This time they come out and throw the football 3 times. The receiver goes down, and I think it affects the timing, but right now early, Matt Ryan putting a lot of velocity on the ball, almost overstriding because he's trying to put so much velocity on the football.
Ayers, plenty of time, gets the punt away. It's a short one. It's going to bounce in front of Eddie Royal, but he doesn't corral it, and it'll roll dead at about the 3. So a tough position for Sean Glennon. The Eagles have controlled the field position so far in this scoreless first quarter. ESPN Full Circle presents a huge SEC showdown. Get the game from every angle. ESPN brings you the traditional telecast. Florida looks for a big win on the road against Auburn, trying to rebound. ESPN2 offers commentary on the fly from Colin Coward and the game day crew. ESPNU puts you in the director's chair. Multiple camera choices on screen. That's fun stuff. Full Circle, Florida, Auburn, delivered by AT&T, Saturday, 7:45 Eastern. From the Plains, game day will be there as well. Now they try to muscle the ball out from the shadow of their goal line. Brandon Orr on the carry, and Brian Toll has now popped in the game.
And this is great news for Boston College. Let's see how he's able to hold up. Again, last year, I think, the last couple years, he kind of exploded onto the scene, not only as a linebacker, but as a short yardage back near the goal line. And he's become the emotional leader. And him hurting his shoulder against Clemson, they've really lost a lot. And we'll see tonight if he's able to go and provide that leadership that they need in this game.
Lennon from his end zone, fires in the flats, caught. Clowney able to elude a tackler and gets first down yardage at the 15. Toll was on that side a little bit late, a 14-yard gain. Tough to play football at linebacker, Kirk, if you haven't practiced much, and he's really only played meaningful snaps in 1 out of the last 8 games going back to last year.
And you could see at the end of the play, he was there to be able to push Clowney out, but instead of lowering the shoulder, he just kind of used his hands to push him away.
You can't play linebacker if you're reluctant to deliver a hit.
He has not tested his shoulder since it was injured against Clemson.
Has been a short yardage ball carrier, scored 4 touchdowns this year. And they'll bring him in if they get close. Or nice job bouncing outside before Tyrone Pruitt, the linebacker, can grab him at the 20-yard line. Nice gain of 6. Now Brandon Orr is more of a workhorse for this offense than Beamer would like. He'd like to spread the carries around. How do you think this guy, stacks up? Maybe not a Kevin Jones, but a Mike Emo, Ken Oxendine, Lee Suggs. Is he in that category? Not quite.
Well, I think potentially he is, but the luxury that those backs had was always a tandem of backs at Virginia Tech. He's carrying the load this year by himself. None of those backs ever had to do that.
Morgan in motion. They give it to Orr again. Look for a block in the corner from Morgan. Jolan Dunbar, the linebacker over there on the stop. He's short of first down yardage.
The answer to your question as far as Brandon Orr, I think the answer physically is yes. I think he is one of these backs that if he stays healthy and you're able to see him grow into the kind of back he can become, I think he can be in that class. 05 to 06, you can see how many more opportunities he's getting this year. And he has an interesting story in the offseason after last year.
They throw on 3rd and short. Clowney has it, tries to beat a man and does just. Did he lose the ball? The ball is loose. The Eagles have it. So Clowney made the catch, seemed to have first down yardage, but coughed up the football. And BC will take over inside the Hokies 25.
Chris, I couldn't tell if it was Tribble or Pruitt. Tribble is there to make the play early, and then coming right there is the linebacker, Tyrone Pruitt, with the hand. He knocks the ball loose, and Boston College, again, running to the football all over it, and a chance to pick up some points here early because of great field position. Great hustle there by Tyrone Pruitt to jar that ball loose.
And it was Tribble who jumped on it. So now BC, which has been unable to cash in on pretty good field position so far, has great field position. On first down, Whitworth. Not much room. Bounces off a pile and falls forward for about a yard before Carlton Powell, the big defensive tackle, got him. Apanavichus warming up. Will this be his first career field goal attempt? Eagles would like to make it a PAT.
I think for him to have a chance, he's just about, they're right about in his range right now. You'd like to see him get inside the 20-yard line to make him feel completely comfortable in his first attempt.
Definitely. Play action. Ryan flips it short into traffic, incomplete. Ball hit the ground. Hokies are lobbying for the interception, but Brandon Flowers is not going to win that argument. Ryan kind of stepped up in the pocket, tried to throw a dart into traffic there.
Well, he's been trying to squeeze the ball in a couple times here. That, you know, that time you have 3 linebackers surrounding Tony Gonzalez. He tried to squeeze it in, but it's pretty easy to play for the linebackers to be able to knock it out. His back that time, Callender, slid out into the flat and was all alone. Right now, Virginia Tech, the linebackers are swarming anything in the middle, but leaving the outside open out in the flat.
Now Ryan, who's missed his last 4 passes, faces 3rd and 10, and the left tackle came up out of his stance, and now you're pushing it into dicey field goal range for the first-time kicker.
False start. Number 70 on the offense. 5 yards. Still 3rd down.
Yeah, 31 career starts, all of them in a row for James Martin. You don't expect an experienced tackle to make a mental mistake like that. And Apanavichus, if they had to kick a field goal right now, it'd be about a 46-yarder. As mom and dad look on, they'd like to see him get a little closer, you think?
Well, we might be in 4-down territory right now for Boston College.
No, they're not going to hesitate to give the kid a chance, but from 46 is tough.
That's what I'm saying. See if they can pick up some yardage here.
On 3rd and 15, Ryan has plenty of time, does flip it short to Whitworth. He fights forward. It's only a couple of yards before Vince Hall is there to wrestle him down, and now what's he going to do? It's going to be about a 44, 45-yard attempt for a guy who's never played in a football game.
Either go for it or punt.
You don't have any faith in the guy.
No, I mean, are you kidding me? Not yet. I only go by the meetings and listening. I say nothing. I just won't listen in meetings. And I said, you got to get it to about the 20-yard line. Yeah, Kirk, about the 20. So he's at the, what is it, 27?
Yeah, that's not good enough. And they will not give Apanavichus a chance to kick here. They're going to go on 4th and 13.
Oh, it's even better now. Push it back even further.
We're almost in punting range now. Keep them moved back. Wow, this has been very poor execution.
False start. Number 80, offense, 5 yards. Still 4th down.
That's the sophomore tight end Ryan Purvis, but O'Brien's team really has executed poorly with good field position in the first quarter.
Yeah, they have had great opportunities. You know, we're kidding here, but you know what I would do? I would just snap it to the punter or snap it to the quarterback, the shotgun, and just punt the ball. This game right now is about field position and the odds of executing. I'm not saying you can't do it here on 4th and 18, but it's going to be tough to do, and you're going to give Virginia Tech decent field position if you don't convert. Whereas if you just a little punt here, nope, and a shot.
They'll throw downfield. It's Brandon Robinson in the end zone. Oh, almost had it. Brandon Robinson beat Macho Harris, and the ball was there.
The ball was there, and the coverage was terrible on 4th and 18.
Doug Flutie, you got to make that play, Brandon.
Macho Harris, 4th and 18, get back into coverage. He did not touch the football. That simply just fell off the hands of the receiver downfield. Unbelievable.
Hokies get the ball back, still scoreless. And in Boston, you got your culinary choices. You can get your lobster, good seafood here. Doesn't get any fresher than here. You can go Italian to the North End, which we did last night.
Yeah, we were all over that.
Herb, sure what a cannoli is?
Oh, come on.
Did you know
Mike's Pastry, right?
Did you know what a cannoli was before?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought.
Oh, yeah.
We
have those in Ohio.
I apologize.
No, we have
that was new knowledge for you.
We have those.
So after the Eagles drop a touchdown pass, BC gives the ball over to Virginia Tech in pretty good field position. The best of the night so far for the Hokies at the 32-yard line for their 3rd possession. And it's Glennon again breaking tendencies, throwing on 1st down and finding the tight end Sam Wheeler. Wheeler, 6th catch of the season with Roderick Rollins on the coverage.
Nice job by Glennon. Sean Glennon just getting back and getting the ball downfield. And these are the drives tonight. I mean, they've four punts, the fumble and the turnover on downs, even though it could have been a touchdown for Boston College. And like I said, the odds of converting on 4th and 18, not very good. They took the chance. It almost worked, but now Virginia Tech in great field position.
In a good position on 2nd and short as they pound Orr, who's not brought down, fighting forward near midfield. Brandon Orr picks up 9 and a first down.
Chris, this gives you an indication of how talented Brandon Orr really is. I mean, early in the season, he carried the majority of the load for Virginia Tech's offense, and as Sean Glennon has grown, they've been able to spread some things around, and they've been able to keep him a little fresher. And you can see, this gives you, again, an idea. He's got not only power, but great athletic ability and good balance to be able to pick up some good big yards there.
Already 6 carries for Orr. The concern is, are they going to overwork this guy without a real backup? They don't have much depth at all at the tailback position. Again, it's Orr finding some room on the right and running over a man inside the 45-yard line. Nice block there. Larry and Nam got run over.
Brandon Orr, I think, has grown to love college football that much more. After last season, he had some issues academically. He was removed from the team. He went back home, actually working at a 7-Eleven, and got his grades back. He got healthy, came back to the team, worked his way back to the starting lineup. And that whole process, Frank Beamer telling us, has really taught Brandon Orr how much he appreciates the game, and it has him running with more conviction.
Morgan on the reception. Is once again, Hokies doing something you don't traditionally think of as Virginia Tech offense, that quick snap and firing the ball to the perimeter to a receiver.
Well, this is something you see more and more throughout the country, is the option for the quarterback to either call the play, run the play, or if they give you a corner, defensive back off by 10 or 12 yards, just take the easy throw and throw it out to the slot receiver. You see it everywhere, and they've grown, I think, to the point of having enough confidence in Glennon to make those throws.
And it's a BC pass defense that's last in the conference. It was lit up by BYU. They dinked and dunked him down the field. That's clearly a big part of the game plan for the Hokies. So a promising drive underway for Beamer's ball club, but missed opportunities for both teams in the first 15 minutes.
Center? No, the office will close today at 3 because of the game. Okay, we'll see you tomorrow. Thank you.
Now let's put that career stuff on hold. The real world can wait. We got college football tonight in Chestnut Hill in prime time. Scoreless first quarter as we begin the second period. Not a great tradition of night games here at BC, but certainly the showcase home game on the schedule. Virginia Tech, little play action fake, and now pressure on Glennon. He's flushed, gets away, positive yardage, and has a first down at the 25. So Glennon, not known for making much headway with his wheels, runs for 11, his longest run of the season.
Sean Glennon off to a great start, making good decisions. He's completed 7 of 8 passes. This time they're trying to fake the screen to get the ball vertically downfield to Clowney. Boston College covers it, but I'll tell you, he showed a lot of athletic ability there to break away from that defensive pressure and picking up the first down.
You know, Brandon Orr, for a back, did a nice job blocking a defensive tackle, Brady Smith, on that play. Glennon was sacked 4 times at a miserable start to the game against Georgia Tech. Shows some ability here, and now they give it back to their main runner, Orr, who keeps those legs driving and picks up about 4. This is a Hokie team, Kirk, that frankly has been, embarrassed by its inability to run the football in the early going. Yeah, there's some success with the passing game, but it hasn't been vintage O-line play so far this season.
This is just my opinion, but I think we've been spoiled by the quarterback play over the last 7 or 8 years at Virginia Tech because of the athletic ability from guys like Michael Vick and Brian Randall, even Marcus Vick. And I think Sean Glennon's still getting himself comfortable, and because teams don't fear the option in the passing game as much, they're loading up on the run.
Behind 2 tight ends, this is Orr powering ahead near first down yardage. Well, this really should be Marcus Vick's year. He was kicked out of school. This was his year. His would have been his offense.
Yeah, it was. It was designed to be his year, but obviously they had to move forward. And I think Sean Glennon is showing that he is developing into the guy that they need this year. And EA, so far, he's off to a great start.
Yeah, and just to touch on a little bit more about the Georgia Tech guys, guys. You know, Sean Glennon said after that game he really got the respect from his teammates, and his teammates agreed with him. They said they didn't really know what to expect from him.
Well, they knew what to expect from that play, and Jolon Dunbar, the linebacker, was there to put a hat on Orr along with Larry Annam. Aaron?
Chris, like I mentioned, his teammates didn't know what to expect from him, and his wide receiver Clowney had mentioned, you know, we didn't know he was going to be good as he is right now. We knew we were going to get a guy that knew how to do all this, but we just didn't expect that from him right now.
You know, they said after the game, Aaron, that we believe in you, we're proud of you, and yeah, they came up short, but he kept fighting down 21-zip.
Well, considering they dug themselves a hole early, he did show for a first-year starter an ability to come back and never give up. They're going to be short here.
What a job by Dunbar and Annam combining on the stop. Not easy to stone Brandon Orr for a loss on 3rd and short. You can see Glennon pleading his case with Beamer over there.
He's a fiery leader. I saw
he was
that
a little emotional.
even in the Georgia Tech game, I think that he's trying to kind of show his team. Look at him. He's a guy, you know how Virginia Tech is. They love it in the weight room, and he's a guy that has committed himself in the weight room, too. He's a pretty good athlete. They say he's surprising at how strong he really can be and how athletic he can be. We'll see what happens here.
Weatherford, the big fullback, in front of Orr, 4th, and a little bit less than a yard. Orr diving forward and stops short of that first down. Brian Toll running off the field. Here's a guy that's played almost no football with that shoulder injury. He's pumped up now. What a stand by the Eagles.
That's the emotional leadership that I'm talking about from number 16. Look at it. This guy is so excited to be back on the football field, and here on 4th down, he's willing to throw the shoulder in there and make a play. This is 4th and a yard. The play is free to pick it up, except 16 is right there to bring down Brandon Orr. It's short of the first down.
So neither offense able to cash in on promising drives in good field position, and now the Eagles will take over. Ryan's been struggling lately. They'll give the ball to Callender to start this drive, and the Hokies smother him, but after a couple of completions to begin this game, Kirk, Ryan has really struggled.
What a good this right now is one of these games where both defenses are controlling the tempo, and you wonder if the offenses are willing to be patient. Are they going to continue to be a little bit careful with what they're doing? I think aggressiveness as an offense when you're facing this kind of defensive ability is essential from a play calling standpoint.
The Hokies show pressure but drop off, and Ryan fires. That's complete at the 25-yard line, short of a first down. Tony Gonzalez on the catch there, defended by Roland Miner. Maybe that'll get Ryan going.
If you're going to attack Virginia Tech, when they pin their ears back and go after the running game, you have got to be able to find some one-on-one matchups on the outside with Matt Ryan and his group of wide receivers.
Gonzalez, a reliable guy, a senior, framing in mass. One of their top pass catchers, and neither team has yet converted on 3rd down. Can the Eagles break that trend? Ryan will throw. Flips it over the middle. Caught. And there is a first down. It's across the 30-yard line. In traffic. The completion to Gonzalez for 7 yards.
Well, on 3rd down, you have to win some one-on-one matchups. And that time, 2 things happened. Matt Ryan had enough time to throw to make a decision. The receivers were able to get away from the man-to-man coverage.
Gonzalez, the local legend, he was drafted by the Red Sox, but they offered him only $10 grand to sign, so he said, I'm going to go to BC and play football. And a productive career for him. Eagles go back to the ground on 1st down, and Aaron Rouse, their fine rover, in there to stop Callender after a short gain. Gonzalez is an interesting guy. He's got 7 sisters. The only boy. 7 sisters. They lost their father, and he had to step forward and be the man of the house, and coaches just can't praise Gonzalez enough, and the player that he is off the field, a graduate.
It's great to see his entire career, the way he's been able to get his degree and continue to move forward in this university.
The Hokies are all over the ground game right now. BC finding it very tough to get anything at all generated. Chris Ellis combining with Hill for the stop.
When you run the football 7 times and you have 8 yards rushing. Things are not working very well. And it goes back to Virginia Tech is strong, just a strong group up front now that Chris Ellis is back. And their linebackers are tough to run on. BC is going to have to throw, Chris, with the play action to try to move the ball the way they want. Then they can go back to the run.
There's no Darryl Tapp. They lost a lot of strong players in that line from a year ago, and they thought there might be a drop-off, but instead, Hokies continue to bring in those strong defensive players. This is a nice first down catch by Clarence Megwa, the freshman, his first catch of the night for 13 yards as he was in front of Flowers. So Ryan, a big completion, and they move the chains.
This is how you have to attack. Again, Virginia Tech, very stout up front, even though they lost all those great players, but one-on-one opportunities on the outside. You practice all year as a quarterback with your receivers. Just comes down to execution and your group of receivers finding a crease and the quarterback putting it on the money.
2 tight ends now on 1st and 10. Callender is the back, and he gets the call. Again, great penetration. That was going to be a face mask penalty as Xavier Adibi was able to corral Callender, but he got his hand in the face mask. We'll sort it out, but let's go back to Reese Davis for a 30 and 30 update.
All right, Chris, the investigation continues into the plane crash that killed New York Yankees pitcher Corey Lytle. National Transportation Safety Board briefing presented evidence that suggested the plane's engine was running at the time of the crash. The engine and propellers have been sent to the respective manufacturers for analysis. They've also recovered the instrument panel that they hope will give them more clues about the tragedy. Sports Center after the game, ESPN News all the time.
Reese, thank you. Here in Boston, of course, they have no love for the Yankees, but a tragic event like that cuts across things like baseball rivalries. Our condolences to the Lytle family. It's a 15-yard penalty, and the face mask against Adibi moves the ball down inside the 40, and now as Callender carries, another flag is down. Carlton Powell on the stop. And the Eagles get a break on the personal foul penalty and give it right back with a holding.
They caught a break, and there's all of a sudden, boy, what a drive they've been able to put together.
Number 77 offense, 10 yards from the spot of the foul. It's still first down.
Every week we go into these meetings with coordinators, and the offensive coordinators talk about staying on schedule. And if there's ever an offense that has to stay on schedule, it's Boston College. They do not have there's Dana Bible, their offensive coordinator. They don't have a ton of playmakers at wide receiver like a Calvin Johnson. They have to be efficient, and they have to try to, when we say stay on schedule, 2nd and 7, 3rd and 4. You don't want to face 2nd and long and 1st and 15 and 3rd and 12.
Hokies rush 4. Ryan steps up, flips complete. It's caught by Taylor Saleh, who's going to get back near the original line of scrimmage.
And the reason that's so important, as I said, if you're not gifted, if you're not blessed with a bunch of gifted wide receivers, it puts so much pressure on the offense to execute, obviously, when you face those kind of downs and distances, and especially when you're facing a defense that can fly and put a lot of pressure on the quarterback.
Yeah, BC not very efficient passing on 3rd down. They've had trouble executing in the second halves of games on 3rd down, so you want to avoid those 3rd and longs, which means the need for a productive play right here on 2nd and 11, and Ryan will throw. Again, a short pass, well defended, is coming up to cover was Brendan Hill, and another flag down.
That flag came in late, and it was thrown.
Bud Foster begs to differ.
I don't think. Oh, that's maybe a flag that's thrown here by the Boston College bench. Tom O'Brien picked it up and threw it. And you know what? I think that came from the student section.
There's no foul on the play. 3rd down.
You know what happened there? The student section threw a flag.
We got the yellow towels here. An unofficial flag.
Whatever it was, it came in way after the call. And that's their way of showing that they thought it was pass interference, but it came in near the bench. Fooled me. I thought it was a late flag.
3rd and 11. They're behind schedule, to say, and behind on the play clock as well. Just 3 seconds to go, and Ryan will have to burn a timeout here to organize this crucial play. The Eagles have marched inside the 40, but they're not yet in field goal range, so a big play when you come back to Chestnut Hill. So Brian told that BC defense make a big stop, and then the Eagles offense drives it 44 yards with a holding penalty. Jeopardizes this drive, and it's 3rd and 11 from the 38 now. Will Glennon get the ball back right here? Can the Eagles convert? And again, a flag before the snap. After they burn a timeout, they come back out.
Ball start. 84 offense. 5 yards. Still 3rd down.
There's Kevin Challenger in the slot there.
Again, we're off schedule.
They're way off schedule on 3rd and 16.
Although on the 4th and 18, they slipped behind coverage with Brandon Robinson in the first quarter. And if he didn't drop it, it would have been 7-0 game.
See the Hokies secondary looking to the sidelines, not knowing what the coverage is here. That was Brandon Hill, the linebacker, who was covering the slot receiver. They throw it deep. It's Gonzalez trying to get back to it inside the 5. And it's incomplete as once again he beat Macho Harris, and Ryan was trying to lead him out into space there.
I'm telling you right now, if you want to attack Virginia Tech and you're playing them down the road, Calvin Johnson gave you a clinic on how you do it. Throw the football in one-on-one coverage, and you've got a chance to make some plays. Right now, Victor Harris, in my mind, and Brandon Flowers both are vulnerable in one-on-one coverage if you got a receiver who can attack downfield.
They were confused before that play in the secondary. And a linebacker over the slot receiver, and Ayers is knocked down. They say no penalty. He gets the punt away, and Eddie Royal with the fair catch. But Johnny Ayers takes a look at the official and says, why not a penalty? See if he did an acting job or if they got blocked into him. Nah, no major damage. Hokies will have it at the 14 when you come back. If you like you some defense, that ACC is a good conference for it. Not the most stellar quarterback play in this league this year, but a couple of pretty good defenses battling here to a scoreless tie in the first quarter. Hokies on their offensive side looking for some playmakers. Now, we talked about Josh Hyman, their second leading receiver coming into this ball game, suspended. He was arrested in Blacksburg early Friday morning, charged with DUI, 0.12 blood alcohol, and he has a court date later this month. Indefinite suspension by Frank Beamer. They have some receivers out there. It's not a huge loss individually, but it disrupts things, and there's been a few disruptions for this Virginia Tech team this year, that off-the-field variety.
Yeah, I think that's the frustrating thing for Frank Beamer. Frank Beamer has always prided himself on having a program that is first class, not only a team that's going to win football games.
Lennon throws on the first down and looks deep. Miscommunication. It's intercepted. Well, Ryan Glasper, welcome back. The guy who has missed so much football with the labrum injury. It's a hip injury. Finally is back. The spark, the leader, the stabilizer in that defense in a very unstable situation between Glennon and the receiver there. What was going on?
There's miscommunication. And I think that's one of those things where there's hesitation. Before he threw that, he wasn't real sure on what he was going to do and which way his receiver was cutting. And you don't know if that's all on Glennon or if it's on the receiver, but clearly miscommunication between a young quarterback and his wide receivers.
And there's Glasper out of Southington, Connecticut, right next door to Bristol.
But Chris, Frank Beamer always prides himself on having a program that is a first-class program. And what happened with Chris Ellis and Josh Morgan being suspended the previous game and now dealing with this, I know something that really aggravates Frank Beamer. And going back to Marcus Vick and what happened with Marcus Vick in the bowl game against Elvis Dumerville and some of the off-the-field problems they've had. It does not sit well with the head coach. This ball is going to go all the way back to the Boston College 31-yard line. Dead ball personal foul.
Unsportsmanlike conduct they've called against the Eagles. So speaking of uncharacteristic things, that's the kind of thing that really bugs Tom O'Brien. They've had a couple of major penalties, a hold and now a dead ball, immediately ruining good field position after the Glasper interception. Hokies turned it over twice already, a fumble and the first pick for Glennon. And now a little bootleg. Ryan flips it short, caught, And fighting a forward to the 40-yard line is the tight end Ryan Thompson, just his 4th catch of the season. He's known as the better blocking tight end of the two, Thompson and Ryan Purvis. DB on the stop.
That time Virginia Tech had the coverage called right. They were in position. They were expecting maybe a little bit of play action, the bootleg, the naked coming back the other way. But the quarterback, Matt Ryan, using his eyes to open up a seam to throw it into Thompson.
L.B. Whitworth gets the call and slips down. His field turf can sometimes be slick. And you've seen some footing problems tonight on both sides. Saturday, ABC Regional College Football action featuring 3 great games, 3:30 Eastern. Heisman hopeful Troy Smith and the Ohio State University Buckeyes. That road test, we'll see how much fight that Sparty's got left. Missouri, surprising start for the Tigers, unbeaten, ranked in the top 20. The road test, though, at Kyle Field. Others will see UCLA against Oregon. Check your local listings, 3:30 Eastern time this Saturday on ABC. Almost Thanksgiving time here. I'll be down in Miami for Thanksgiving weekend. Ryan, again, over the middle. It's complete. Kevin Challenger has it in Eagles cross midfield to the 49 after a 12-yard gain. Aaron Rouse on the stop, working the center of the field.
Virginia Tech trying to mix up their coverage between man and zone on third down. That time electing to not bring pressure and having zone coverage. And it's a good job by the quarterback and the receiver just sitting right inside that zone and finding the first down.
It's a reverse, and the Hokies are there. Thought there might, yeah, there's the flag now. Finally, the face mask is called. Chris Ellis was there to just destroy Taylor Saleh, but he got the face mask. And again, a very positive defensive play. Great job sniffing out the play, staying at home, ruined by the technique on the tackle. And this will march the football back
Personal
into...
foul. That's 15, right? Face mask. Number 31 defense. 15 yards from the previous spot.
It is 15. The Eagles were asking for it.
Yeah. I think he threw in the 15 and he messed up the numbers for the referee because it was 49. Chris Ellis, who's in position right there. He definitely pulls on the face mask. That's 15. 31. Brendan Hill is there. The thing that's frustrating, of course, he knows he's guilty, is that they defended it so well. Ellis and the linebacker Hill, perfect position, almost expecting, like they knew it was coming, and then they pull on the face mask to give the 15 yards back at the beginning of the drive.
So the 3rd and a mile, and now busted in the middle is Whitworth. Whitworth picking his way down to the 15. A little explosive burst from the junior from Milton, Mass, 19 yards. That's the first real positive running play for the BC tailbacks tonight.
For a team that's struggling to run the football, how about the hole right here? My man right here has nobody to block. He's just looking for anybody he can pick up. And for a team that couldn't pick up a yard on a carry, that hole opened up and they caught Virginia Tech, I promise you, with a mental breakdown on who should have been in that scene. And it opened it up for Whitworth and takes it down to the 15.
He almost doubled their rushing yardage in one play. Now Ryan looks over the middle of the end zone. Caught. Touchdown. Kevin Challenger scores for the Eagles. Wow, how that penalty on Ellis turned everything around in this possession. 2 plays later, Eagles in the house and a lead.
See, I like this, an extra point for his first kick. Not the 47-yarder, but just to ease him in here with an extra point.
First kick as a football player in his life, and it's perfect for Steve Apanavicius. High fives for mom and dad.
There you go.
Wow, a year ago, he was a fan in the student section, body paint, wearing a sombrero. Now he's part of the team, and he's in the scoring record for the Eagles, who strike first here at home, 7-0 midway second.
ESPN's College Football Primetime, brought to you by Dodge. You can take life as it comes, or you can grab life by the horns. Dodge and the Home Depot. You could do it, we can help.
Welcome back to Boston College. Well, after the Eagles scored, it was Steve Appanakis with his very first football game on national television, we mentioned, and he scored the extra point. Now, remember, when we spoke with him yesterday, he was around all his teammates, Chris, and he said, well, the first one I may get a freebie, and some of his teammates just looked at us and rolled their eyes and said, you're not getting a freebie. When he came back to the bench, guys, everyone slapping his helmet, high-fiving him. What a moment for him.
I like how he said, I'm not nervous. Nothing to lose. The expectations are so low. And guys like Toll and Beekman were rolling their eyes. Nothing to lose. A national TV game against the Hokies. There's plenty to lose, kid. And now he'll boot it. Kind of a short kick. Stepping up is Eddie Royal inside the 20. And Royal has the corner. Slips out across the 30. Well, Kevin Challenger was the champ on that drive.
He's able to get one-on-one opportunity with Macho Harris, and this is what I want you to watch is the technique by Harris. Right here, his shoulders are turned this way, making it easy for Challenger to take it to the inside, and watch the throw by Ryan. Gets it right in between the safety and the corner. We've talked all night about how he's throwing the ball with velocity. Challenger with a great catch, but it's Matt Ryan who is showing that arm strength's important to squeeze it into a tight spot. That time he got it into his man.
Macho man. He's getting burned here in this first quarter for Virginia Tech. They go back on offense to Brandon Orr, the workhorse. Picks up about 2. You don't want to be a macho man if you're going to be lost in coverage and then beaten by a receiver for a touchdown. He's had a rough start.
He has had a rough start, and I want to see how not only Macho Harris, I want to see how this Virginia Tech team responds to being down 7-0 on the road. Last game out against Georgia Tech, they got down 21-0 in the first quarter. Could never quite get back in the football game. With a young quarterback, how do they handle this now? Down 7 with Sean Glennon.
Well, they can still stick to the game plan here, obviously, not like the last game. 21-zip, rewrote the game plan, but Glennon will throw, flips, it's Orr. Can he make the man miss? Well, he's able to get a first down. Francois, the linebacker, there to corral him, along with help from the safety, Larry Annam, the corner.
See, to me, it's not so much about the play selection. It's about being down 7. This is going to test the character of this team, of Virginia Tech. This is a team that every time they get out in front, they seem to win football games. When you get down on the road, it can make it tough for a young football team. You don't have to throw away the playbook and start from scratch, but it just really will test this young quarterback, Sean Glennon.
Near side, caught by Morgan. Weaving his way near the 45. That seems to be what they're favoring instead of kind of the traditional run on first down.
Well, they've mixed it up. Brian Steinspring, the offensive coordinator from Virginia Tech, has mixed up. There's pretty good balance with the play selection. The problem, and the reason I think we always come to expect Virginia Tech's ability. There's Brian. It's his birthday, by the way, today, Brian. If you want a happy birthday, let's start getting it going here. But the reason they're struggling up front, Chris, is you have a true freshman playing right guard and a center playing left guard. That sometimes affects the continuity.
Glennon well protected. Buys some time and now able to split a couple of tacklers. A short pickup as he dives up to the 48-yard line behind before Keith Willis. The backup tackles there on the stop.
You'd rather see that from a quarterback, especially a young quarterback on the road, than trying to force something downfield. And by just scrambling up the middle of the defense, he's getting his team now in a position to be able to execute here on 3rd and 3. He's had a problem of scrambling to the outside. Coaches have worked very hard on getting him to go up the gut of the defense when he takes off, just like he did there.
Glennon in the shotgun as they try to convert on 3rd down for the first time tonight. Here comes some noise. They'll throw, and it's Morgan caught. First down yardage at the 48. And Nam and Francois combining on the stop, but good poise, a little dart there for 5 yards, enough.
A little dart, and I think the respect that Boston College defense has that time for the speed of Virginia Tech. A little surprised, kind of like we talked about last week, 3rd and short, that Anam as a corner was so far off the line of scrimmage, and now Glennon's going to work the no huddle to try to pick up the tempo.
He was very successful at this against Georgia Tech, even in the losing cause when they got way behind. He was efficient and really poised running the 2-minute. That's Justin Harper collecting the low throw from the far sideline. Got about 6.
What a great catch here. And Justin Harper continues to improve as a wide receiver for this Hokie team. What a great catch. Getting his feet down. First career start against Georgia Tech on 109 yards receiving. Coaches tell us that he just continues to get better.
Big 6'4" guy going down there on the shoe tops to make the catch. Glennon now 11 of 13 on the game. Back to the air. Flushed out. Will fire downfield. He threw it into traffic. Wow. Making the catch was a leaping Josh Morgan. Then he just kind of stepped out of bounds after making the catch and didn't look to head downfield. It is a first down.
That's a nice pump fake, but he should have really thrown it away. It works out well, but this is a no-no. I mean, he is so fortunate. The linebacker, Francois, did not intercept that football. It worked out well, but that's one that Mike O'Kane, the quarterback coach, and Brian Steinspring will say, you know what, next time, Sean, just throw that football away.
They get away with it. First down at the 34. Glennon, little shovel pass. They get it to Orr. They beat the pressure off the corner. Kevin Akins, the linebacker, in very quickly. Let him come and then pitch it off to Orr. Let's check in with Reese Davis on what's coming up in the Pontiac Performance Halftime Report. Reese?
All right, Chris, we'll have the latest on the investigation into the plane crash that killed Yankees pitcher Corey Lytle. We'll also visit with Tommy Tuberville, whose Auburn team takes on Florida this weekend on ESPN and Full Circle, and also give you the winner from the Pontiac game-changing performance. A lot of great nominees. We'll deliver the winner. That's coming up in just a few minutes when you guys come back for halftime.
Reese, thanks. It'll be good to hear from Tommy Tuberville. His team beaten physically at home by Arkansas, which makes it a little bit tougher for the mighty Gators and Aaron Andrews' alma mater to roll down there on the plains and try to keep it going. Auburn's wounded and at home and at night and all that stuff at SEC.
You know, Florida being patted on the back, being told how wonderful they are, and they are. After being able to survive games at Tennessee, beating LSU and Alabama at home, and Auburn losing to Arkansas. It is
we saw Auburn here. We saw the Tigers struggle against the Gamecocks in Columbia. There were some warning signals there that they maybe had some holes in their team. I'd like to see some receiver play out of Courtney Taylor and the guys.
You'd like to see more balance. Yeah. That's the big thing, is you've got to be able to stretch defenses in today's game, and Al Borges has always had that ability to do that as a play caller, and to have any chance of moving the football against that Florida Gator defense, you can't just run Kenny Irons. They've got to have some vertical passing game to have a chance to stretch the Florida Gator defense. But the emotions will definitely favor the Auburn Tigers.
Sean Glennon, our Under Armour advantage tonight, has been really efficient. He says he's no longer playing not to lose. He's trying to aggressively make plays. Most of those throws have been of the high percentage variety. You can see the average not very good.
Well, the completion is good,
but the yards per completion is pretty short.
Is good, but again, it's another case where you see how many points they have, and you at some point have to be able to complete the football downfield to have a chance.
2nd and 6. They're on the fringe of field goal range for Brandon Pace, but they're still thinking about 7 points. The ball tipped at the line of scrimmage, almost intercepted. They're looking for Orr. Brady Smith, the freshman tackle, got his hand on it.
Brady Smith getting there, and Raji, the nose guard, sniffing it out and having a chance to get back there. If that ball wasn't tipped, it would have been interesting to see if the nose guard, how big he is, 340 pounds, would have had a chance to maybe make an interception there.
3rd and 6. Pratt on its feet. Catch by Morgan again. First down inside the 20, and Josh Morgan's begun to get involved. His 5th catch already, beating Morris.
Josh Morgan playing with a lot of confidence. Of course, he missed the Georgia Tech game, but you said how he made that one catch kind of nonchalantly, just stepping out of bounds. It's a game and an opportunity that he wants to take advantage of after missing the Georgia Tech game.
At 10 catches coming in, has 5 tonight. Now look to the end zone. Oh, that was a high throw and leveling. The receiver was Wes Davis. Morgan paid the price. He's applauding Brian Toll, who's down there in coverage as well. Big hit.
Big hit, and we just talked about the confidence. I think by the time he recovered from being pushed out of bounds, the ball snuck up on him. And by the way, Wes Davis snuck up on him too. Good-looking true freshman, Wes Davis, knocking down Josh Morgan.
One of the recruits all the way from El Cajon, California on 2nd and 10. Glennon has time, loops it for the end zone, and wide open for a touchdown. David Clowney wide open as the Eagles blew a coverage. Ryan Glasper, the safety, a little bit lost out there. 19 yards, but it's coming back. A flag is down. Holding is the indication. So again, a mistake for the Hokies. Wow.
Holding. Offense number 58 and number 70. 10 yards from the previous spot. Replay.
They got both guards, huh? 58 and 70.
Chris, you just said it. I mean, every time Virginia Tech does something positive, they give it back. And this time it's a holding call by Ryan Sherman. Clowney wide open downfield, busting coverage.
They'll take note of that when they evaluate the first half because they found something there.
And Sherman is the center. But they say he's one of our top 5 offensive linemen, and we have to put him on the field at left guard, and he struggles sometimes in technique in pass pro.
Third major penalty for the Hokies in this ballgame. Again, Glennon looking deep. That's just a prayer, incomplete. He's trying to find Morgan, but well covered by the Eagles. And Akins and Larkin pressuring Glennon finally. Get a little carried away looking for Josh Morgan now, maybe.
I think Josh Morgan getting a little winded himself with the opportunities he's had on this drive. But Chris, as a young quarterback, you see 2nd and 20, and you're thinking, I've got to pick it all up in one throw. You've got a couple plays there to try to get it to 3rd and 10 maybe. And now it's 3rd and 20.
13th play of the drive. They need perhaps a short completion to get in Pace's field goal range. If they're not going to go for it all, they find Orr. Orr has it, 25, muscling inside the 20. So clearly, Beamer and Steinspring playing for a higher percentage field goal there, and Nam able to drive the running back out of bounds.
It'll be a drive that they look back on and say, what should have been. Opportunity right there, touchdown. They're celebrating, and then there's a flag.
If you think about it, the major penalties set up BC's touchdown, the face mask, and then the holding penalty nullifies the touchdown, and here comes Pace, who's 6 for 6 on the year, to try it from 36 yards. Able to slide it through. So a long march from the Hokies, not quite the answer they were looking for after the BC touchdown, but at least they get on the board in the final 41 seconds of the half. And Glennon has been razor sharp, so plenty to build on in the second half for the quarterback.
Well, he's been sharp with his percentage, but they're just not able to convert on some plays downfield. You're 15 to 20, that's a pretty good half. Then you look and you see, well, 100 yards and an interception, and it's not a great
right.
first
maybe
half.
That's not quite razor sharp.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to have to make some changes. This is where quarterback and his group of receivers just not on the same page, and they talk about it on the sideline. They come back in a 2-minute drill, and this is where he starts to get some help from his receivers, takes a chance here, somehow gets that one to drop in and moves the ball down the field, and looked like they may come up with a touchdown. That was probably their best drive that they've had. But for them to score the points that they need in the second half, eventually his great group of receivers are going to have to get the ball downfield.
Well, neither quarterback's been able to do much downfield. The Eagles, had a touchdown pass completed. It was dropped there by Brandon Robinson, basically in his hands for Ryan. Went on that drive, 8 of 11. Eagles very likely to play it conservative. We know Tom O'Brien here in the last 41 seconds of the half.
I think that's safe to say. Up 7-3 against Virginia Tech at home. Unless they get a great return.
They're unlikely to kick it deep to Jeff Smith, the true freshman, I thought, but he's going to get a chance. Will he bring it out? This is the real speedster who had a second half kickoff return for a touchdown against Clemson. I would have brought it out if you're, come on, bring it out at that point. You're going to take a knee at the 20. Well, you're not going to do anything on offense. You got to try to run it back.
His momentum was taking him back. Ball was kicked into the corner. You just want to see him. You got to
try to do something on a kickoff return. You're not going to do anything on offense. Might as well.
I think that's the point, Coach. I think they want to take a knee. And
yeah, but this guy's got speed. You can try to do something on the kickoff return. Maybe you break it. You got to lose.
Go down there and tell Tom O'Brien that, will you?
Just saying. You're going to see him take a knee, I think, or maybe just hand it off to the tailback, and O'Brien and the Eagles will be happy to go in with a 4-point lead. Now it's Callender breaking a tackle and getting about 9. It's Boston College game. It's going to come down to the last series. We know that. 4 of the 5 have done so. A couple of double overtime games. Lennon, some positives to draw on in the first half, but as Kirk pointed out, not many big plays. And this is the new ACC. Plenty of defense. 7-3 Eagles. Let's join Reese and the gang in the studio for the Pontiac Performance halftime report. Reese.
All right, Chris, Boston College trying to knock off Virginia Tech, keep their hopes alive, play in the ACC championship game with Mark alongside. You guys know what happens 2 weeks from tonight, right?
What?
Virginia Tech is back on Thursday night. They've got an offensive juggernaut they've got to handle. They'll take on Clemson in a Thursday night showdown. Clemson is playing tonight against Temple. This got ugly. James Davis carried the ball 9 times in the first half, 138 yards and 3 touchdowns. Clemson had the ball 7 times in the first half. Coach, how many touchdowns do you think they scored?
I know that they scored at least 3.
How about 7?
Oh, wow.
7 for 7 with 7 touchdowns, Mayday.
Can you say stat padding game?
Just a little bit. And there's the freshman, C.J. Spiller. He's over 100 yards also, or getting close to it. He's got a couple of touchdowns. And right now, what should the halftime speech from Tommy Bowden be to guys like Will Proctor and James Davis, C.J. Spiller?
Cut your tape off, take those helmets off, and leave them in the locker room, guys.
I think the biggest problem he has is convincing them they should shower because they didn't work up as fast.
Have a little extra time, but Clemson has a very demanding 5 days coming up. They have Georgia Tech and then 5 days later Virginia Tech. Good little tune-up. Clemson could score 100, but Tommy Bowden's benevolent. He will not. It's 49-3 on ESPNU right now. Still to come on the Pontiac Performance halftime report. Auburn hoping for better offensive performance against Florida. Tommy Tuberville will join us in a bit.
The Pontiac Performance halftime report is powered by Pontiac, the official performance machines of the NCAA. Welcome back to the Pontiac Performance halftime report.
ACC showdown in Chestnut Hill. Boston College with a 7-3 lead, a lead greatly aided by a couple of untimely penalties against Virginia Tech. Playoff baseball, the National League Championship Series finally underway in Game 1. Cardinals and Mets are scoreless. That's Jeff Weaver against Tom Glavine. Of course, as always, you can hear all LCS games on ESPN Radio. The investigation continues into the plane crash that killed Yankees pitcher Corey Lidle. A briefing by the National Transportation Safety Board suggests that the plane's engine was still running at the time of the crash. Engine propellers are being sent to the manufacturers for analysis. Lidle crashed into a New York City building yesterday, killing him and another passenger aboard. The Yankee family still reacting with great shock and sadness.
It's a sad day, and not much more to say.
You see the news that a plane crashed in a building. Your first thought is, what's going on? Is it another, is it an attack or what? And then you see apartment building, and you go on, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, they're bringing up his name as far as owning the plane and stuff, and it's just shock.
Corey was one of those guys. He always quiet. He always still in his business. Give us everything that he has when he was in the mound. When he wasn't in the mound, he was just Corey. Nothing surprising. Nothing was kind of like distraction for him. He was just himself.
Investigators have also recovered the instrument panel to the plane. They hope that will help them determine what caused the crash. And again, our condolences going out to Corey Lidle and his entire family. Still to come on the Pontiac Performance Halftime Report. We'll look ahead to the college football weekend. Tommy Tuberville leading Auburn against Florida. Tigers head coach will tell us what went wrong last week and how he hopes to get it fixed. And we'll give you the Pontiac game-changing performance of the week.
The Pontiac Performance Halftime Report is powered by Pontiac, the official performance machines of the NCAA.
It'll be in full circle Saturday night across all of the ESPN platforms. Florida against Auburn, 7:45 Eastern Time from Jordan-Hare Stadium. Joining us now, the head coach of the Tigers, Tommy Tuberville. Tommy, your team coming off a difficult loss against Arkansas last week. How does playing a marquee game like this one help you bounce back?
Well, it's really good for you because you don't have time to dwell on adversity. And, you know, the biggest thing about college football is when you play a game on Saturday, you got to turn around the next day and go over your mistakes and then forget about it, whether you've won or lost. And again, when you turn around and play in a great football team in Florida, like we are Saturday, yeah, you dwell on your loss one more day, then that's going to knock you behind. And we don't have any more room to wait. We've got to get better, and our guys have worked hard this week. And so it's made us focus a little bit more than we would have normally had if we'd played a team that probably would not have been as big a challenge.
What's an example that showed you that your team had put the loss behind them?
Well, our seniors called a meeting. We entire team themselves. You know, they were disappointed, obviously, as we all were, about how we played. You know, just put the loss behind us. You know, we just didn't play well, and they wanted to get it straight with the guys that are playing with them, the underclassmen. That, you know, it's time to understand what we're doing wrong and go out and put that behind us. And everybody's got to pick up their slack a little bit and play better.
And you've got a challenge on your hands, especially from a defensive standpoint on Saturday night with Florida's two-quarterback system. How does a true two-quarterback package like the Gators can throw at you affect your preparation?
Well, you know, the big thing you have to do is obviously you need to work on both, but you've got to take their strong points and work on those. Chris Leak is their quarterback, and he's a guy that's gotten much better in this system, urban system, the last 10 or 12 months, and you can tell he's a lot more comfortable in what he's doing. But they have the obvious 1-2 punch of a freshman coming in that's very physical, a guy that can put in and give kind of a curveball to a team that's been playing fastballs the whole game, and most people have not adjusted to it too well. And we've got a little package, as everybody has, of knowing when the other quarterback's in the game, and you know, we'll do that. But the big thing you have to do is play their starting quarterback, which is Chris Leak, who's much improved and playing with a lot of confidence.
Last week you were talking about how difficult it is to emerge as a national championship contender from the SEC. Now that you have the Arkansas game behind you, did that just solidify your thoughts?
Well, you know, I don't know how good we are. You know, we've got a chance to have a good football team if we play all three phases. But in the SEC, no matter who you play each week, you're going to get the best from each team, and everybody's got good players. And other conferences do the same. But you can go back and look at our conference at the beginning of the year. In most leagues, you couldn't say that, you know, they've got 6 teams in that conference that could actually win the conference, and we actually do in our league. It's very tough, it's competitive, and the team speed on every team is very good. And when you have team speed, you've got a chance to win. So it makes it difficult for us. You know, for instance, we're playing Florida this week. We're playing Florida. If we have an opportunity and are good enough to beat them, we'll have to turn around and probably play them again in about a month and a half. And so the championship games are tough on all leagues that have it, especially for us because of the way our system is set up.
Well, Tommy, we'll get a chance to see a lot of that speed on display Saturday night. Good luck against Florida.
Thank you very much.
Another thing Tuberville wants to do, he says he wants to be more innovative on offense. And, Mark, you see why the numbers falling off drastically from last year for the Tigers.
Well, they've got to score better on offense, one of the things. And the other thing is they better protect their quarterback, Brandon Cox. He got sacked 5 times last week.
A little tougher to do. Remember, 2 tackles gone from last year's Auburn offensive line. They've lost their center to injury this year, so a little bit of a patchwork offensive line. So given all of this data now, let's play a little take your pick, Florida or Auburn.
I think Auburn's going to play a tremendous game, but I believe the University of Florida is going to win, and not because of their offense, because of their defense. They are second in the country in scoring defense, fourth in rushing defense. They have 12 sacks, 27 lost yardage play. That is why Florida is going to win.
That's all great stuff. You know, that isn't Auburn the team? Isn't it the same team that at the beginning of the season everybody thought was the best team in the SEC, and then beginning of the season, after a few games, the best team in the SEC? Will Muschamp, defensive coordinator, I got some advice for you. When Tim Tebow's in the game, take your defensive line and slant them to their right, which is the offense's left, because 92% of the time, it's a game of percentages, he runs to his left when he's in there carrying the ball in the option.
I got to change my pick. With that kind of advice, Auburn's obviously going to win. But Florida will win, Mark.
I like Auburn because they're playing at home, and if they circle games on the calendar, it was LSU at home and Florida at home. They already got LSU. Now it's your chance to get Florida. Plus, they were embarrassed last week.
All right, and quickly, what do you think? The impact of the loss against Arkansas, a big motivator, or did it shake their confidence?
Big motivator. I think at this point of the season, I think you're looking at a football team that was embarrassed, as I just said. Not only that, when you've got a team that takes the ball and runs it down your throat for 279 yards, that's embarrassing. I think this team will stand up and play their best.
As a football coach, you never wanted to play a team that was used to winning after they lost. You never wanted to play a team that was used to losing after they won. This is not a good time to play Auburn.
I don't know if there's any good time, but it's a great time to watch it. And you can see it on the family of platforms starting on Saturday night. We'll get you ready with the college football scoreboard at 7 Eastern, and we will deliver the Pontiac Game Changer of the Week. Might even be a Gator when we come back. Time for this week's Pontiac game-changing performance, and it came from Clemson on this play against Wake Forest. Wake was about to go up by 17. The great play, Gaines Adams knocking the ball loose, taking it for a touchdown. Clemson able to take that, seize the momentum, and win the game, and pick up 37% of the vote to get $5,000 in the General Scholarship Fund, courtesy of Pontiac. And remember, whenever you vote for the Pontiac game-changing performance, you can register to win a $5,000 scholarship for you or someone in your family. Both on scholarship, Matt Ryan, Kevin Challenger, the only touchdown in the first half, BC up 7-3. This week's singular All-America Player of the Week, Eric Ainge of Tennessee. Threw for 268 yards and a couple of touchdowns. You can text vote to 87654 on your singular wireless phone to vote for the singular All-America Player of the Week and maybe win a trip to the title game.
Hear ye, gather around, my friends. This you must hear. It's Thursday in Boston. College football lives here.
The town crier down there at Faneuil Hall, and this is a Boston College game, so you know what? It's going to be decided in the final series. 7-3 over the Hokies at halftime. We'll welcome you back to BC with the primetime lights for the second half. But, you know, every game for Boston College, except the game against 1AA Maine, Kirk, has come down to the final minutes. These Eagles are used to playing these tight games.
Yeah, they are. And I think both teams, it's going to come down to their ability to execute and who can throw the football. I mean, who can throw the football is ultimately going to be the team who's going to win the game, and also who can avoid the silly mistakes.
Well, it was Clemson missing a PAT, and BC beat the Tigers right here in double overtime. That followed a tight win over Central Michigan. Boston, or BYU then, this interception in the end zone would finally seal things for the Eagles. Back-to-back double overtime games. Then they had the game at NC State in hand before failing to convert a 4th and short, and then the touchdown pass, Dunlap from Evans. And in this first half, they would take a 7-0 lead. Our Home Depot coaching adjustments.
Well, they've had some opportunities in the first half, some one-on-one opportunities. Brandon Robinson dropping the first, and then Gonzalez unable to execute there with the open man. And then probably the most challenging catch by Challenger to be able to make the catch for the touchdown to give him a 7-0 lead. But this is, again, a team in Boston College and Virginia Tech. Even though the quarterbacks had decent numbers with their percentage, going to have to try to get the ball downfield to move the ball downfield, to be able to move the ball as a team down the field.
Both like to see some big plays. The kickoff specialist, Jared DeVelli, boots it away for the Hokies, and it's driven deep into the end zone. The freshman Smith will down it and start at the 20-yard line. Down to Aaron Andrews.
Chris had a chance to speak with Frank Beamer on his way out, and I mentioned you know, are you going to make any adjustments on offense? And he said no real adjustments necessary. He thought the team was moving the ball well. The only thing that he thought was a problem was the short yard carries. Defense said he thought looked good. Those penalties, guys, he just shook his head, threw up his hands, and walked away.
Yeah, they had 4 penalties, but 3 of them have been major penalties, and all of them have been costly.
Well, they're going to have to see better offense than they saw in the first half. 160 yards. Frank Beamer cannot be happy with that.
Play action fake to Whitworth, and now they slide it out to the tight end Ryan Thompson, and he picks up about 6 on first down. That's ahead of schedule for this Eagles offense.
Yes, it is, and it's the same play they called to start the game off in the first half. A naked coming back the other way, trying to take advantage of an over-aggressive defense, pursuing the football. It came back that time and found the tight end, staying, as you said, on schedule. Now it's 2nd and 5.
And against tendencies, because you wouldn't look at the tape and figure that Thompson's a dangerous receiver. Only had 3 catches coming in. They hand it to Whitworth, picking his way up near the marker. That'll set up 3rd and very short. Vince Hall on the stop and right on schedule, 3rd and 1.
Yeah, and if you're just tuning in, we've talked about staying on schedule for Boston College and how important it is for Dana Bible as a play caller. And the backs, when they've had a chance, Whitworth, the reason he has an average over 4 is he had 1 carry where he was able to burst into the seam. Now Brian Toll, their short yardage back, comes into the game, the linebacker, to see if he can maybe pick up a first down.
There's no mystery. He's the only back behind Ryan here. He gets the call, and he hammers straight ahead. That second effort, driving the legs across the 30. I think he was hit short of the marker initially, but Toll playing with that tender shoulder, able to drive forward. Chris Ellis was trying to stop him, but the mission accomplished.
Comes in, does his job, and he's kind of their short yardage specialist, but I will put Tim Tebow against anybody when it comes to being a short yardage specialist after what we saw last week in Gainesville.
As a true freshman down at Florida.
Unbelievable. But he gets excited. He loves that aspect as a linebacker to come in and run the football.
And once again, not much of a gain. Kerry Wade, the backup rover. Good job in the backfield. The hit on Whitworth. Except for that one little quick burst up the middle that set up the touchdown pass, Eagles have had very little success running the tailback.
Well, and especially when they're running him on 1st and 10 up the middle into an 8 and almost 9-man defensive front for Bud Foster, the defensive coordinator. He likes to crowd the line, and that's why we've seen Matt Ryan try to throw a few more times tonight on 1st and 10.
Behind schedule on 2nd and 9. Ryan goes far side of the field. Incomplete. He had Soleil who dropped the ball in front of Macho Harris there. They're going right to Macho's side a lot, and he was the guy that was supposed to be the next great corner for Tech.
Well, I know that Frank Beamer and Bud Foster feel that Macho Harris, as a sophomore, because of his athletic ability, at about 5'11" or 6 feet at 200 pounds, has tremendous upside. But tonight, he's been picked on, and other teams are watching this. And after the way the Virginia Tech secondary played against Georgia Tech, that's the best way to attack this Hokie defense is through the air.
It's Gonzalez on the near side. Ryan looks that way early and delivers incomplete. That would have been short of the first down anyway, and Gonzalez couldn't hold on to it.
It's a lot easier to make the catch up here, but we've seen a lot of drops tonight for Boston College. And I don't know if it's because Matt Ryan's bringing an 89-mile-an-hour slider at him or what it is, but these guys are having a hard time securing the football.
Drops have been one of the problems for the Hokies offense coming into this game. Far too many drops in that loss to Georgia Tech. Tonight's the Eagles with trouble. Johnny Ayers into punt. Hokies don't get near him. Not a real deep kick. Eddie Royal fumbles the ball. He muffs it. Now a scramble inside the 30. And the Hokies retain possession. Eddie Royal living dangerously there. Special teams have not been up to Beamer's standards. He says it just doesn't compute special teams mistakes. They dodge one there. Tech gets the ball back, down by 4. Eagles clinging to a 7-3 lead here. Early 3rd quarter. Let's check the Applebee's weekend menu. A big win in the SEC and also in the Big Ten. The Gators undefeated and ranked number 2. visiting Auburn. It's an ESPN primetime full circle game. The ABC primetime game, Michigan in Happy Valley, and a whiteout for Penn State.
See if Adrian Arrington's able to step up and help that Michigan offense.
Lennon, another quick throw here. It's caught by Eddie Royal, who kind of sprints across the 40. So again, and now a late flag comes in as they ran him into the Virginia Tech bench.
I think they got the face mask there, Chris, as they were pushing him out of bounds.
Face mask, 5 yards on the defense. 5 yards will be added at the end of the run. First down.
Tyrone Pruitt is chasing the ball and trying to get over there to slow him down, but his left hand grabbing a hold of that face mask. He's pretty fortunate that that was only 5 yards. A lot of times you see the neck coming around from the pull. Sometimes they'll get the personal foul call, but it's only 5 yards, but it is a Hokie first down.
And Royal was headed for the sidelines clearly before the attempted tackle. Plenty of time on the play clock for Glennon, who looks to the bench. And now will change things as the Eagles show pressure. Hand it off to Orr. Tried to bounce it, still on his feet. Trying to rip the football out of his arms, but he falls forward near midfield before Brady Smith and Pruitt combine.
This is something you just are not used to seeing from Virginia Tech's offensive line. And this, watch right in the middle of the offensive line, the way they're able to get pressure right there. Even though Raji didn't make the play, how often have you seen a Virginia Tech offensive line getting pushed 4 yards back from the line of scrimmage?
Raji is 340 pounds,
yeah,
a talented athlete.
But I'm just saying that is an example of why Virginia Tech, everybody wants to know why can't Virginia Tech run the ball? They're not winning the battle at the line of scrimmage as often as we're used to seeing them do, with a true freshman at one guard and a center playing the other guard.
Only 62 yards rushing so far. So they go back to the air. The ball not free. Glennon had it knocked out of his hands. They dive for it, still loose. And the Eagles, instead of scooping up and running it, it's big 340-pound Raji able to fall on it. Turnover number 3 by Tech sets up BC inside the 30. But no scoop and score there.
Well, I just talked about the battle of the line of scrimmage and how Raji is coming in, the defensive tackle, the big guys up front, getting a push and trying to get through. Look at this. For a guy 340 pounds, he's doing a pretty good job of controlling Ryan Sherman just with great strength, going right through him with his upper body power, gets in and knocks that ball loose. And
they're going to review it.
Anytime they review it, it's always about, is the arm coming forward? So the officials always want to know, is the arm coming forward to, as he just said, to dictate whether or not it's an incompletion or a
there's
fumble.
been, remember the history of New England, the old arm coming forward, and the Patriots Raiders playoff game, the fateful call that Raider fans will never forget.
It's all about whether or not his arm, is the ball still in his hand as his arm is coming forward.
I think that'll stand as a fumble, don't you?
From that angle, it looked like it. Well,
a closer call when you see it from that angle.
It sure was. And I've even asked officials before, what if the quarterback's coming forward with his arm, but then he stops the arm to almost like he's going to stop from throwing it? They say it doesn't matter. If his arm's moving forward at all, it's an incompletion. But as we've seen all year,
yes,
sometimes they don't have the video that they need to see.
Oh, I think it sometimes took forever to review it.
Of course it takes forever. But a lot of times
here, though, huh?
the play will stand on field because on the
Is that arm right there coming forward in your mind before it's met by the big hand of Raji? On that one, it doesn't look like it's coming forward. On the closer angle, it's a closer call.
Yeah, it is. It really, if you're looking at his, from like his elbow, the elbow area, it looks like it's coming forward, but the hand is still back.
And what's at stake here? It's either going to be an incomplete pass, and the ball is going to be way back near midfield, and Tech will have a third down, or BC is going to have it at the 28-yard line. So a lot at stake.
Pivotal play right here. But the point is, Virginia Tech offensive line is struggling this year because of the youth and inexperience that they have up front. And Raji, those last 2 plays getting in there, well, that looks like a fumble to me.
Again, so often it's the call on the field that stands because you need clear evidence to overrule it. And I think that's a tough judgment there.
Yeah.
After review, there's indisputable video evidence that the arm was coming forward. Therefore, it's an incomplete pass.
Well, that's the angle that made the difference right there. I guess they felt like his arm was just coming forward. So the fumble negated, and we're going to march back up to midfield where the Hokies will have a 3rd and 7.
And let's remember this play with not even 4 minutes into this half. Frank Beamer right away saying his arm was coming forward, willing to take a chance, and let's take another look. And that is obviously a huge play for Virginia Tech, even if they don't convert here on 3rd down, to get the ball back now to have that chance. And if they don't, they can still punt it away.
So again, technology playing a huge role in a football game this season. Now the crowd's going to try to play a big role and make some noise here. Eagles have been getting good pressure on Glennon in this series. 4 receivers for the Hokie quarterback, or next to him in the backfield. And it's batted down, and it's intercepted. Intercepted. Joe Dunbar. Well, they get the turnover 1 play after the reversal. How about that? Alex Albright able to get a hand on the ball. And the junior from Syracuse, the co-captain on this football team, Joe Dunbar, with his first interception of the season.
He is one of our impact players we talked about because of his ability to defend the run against Brandon Orr. But this time, once Albright gets a hand on it, the ball's up in the air, and you always know, look, the ball's in the air after a deflection in the middle of the field. Chance a linebacker or safety's going to come up with it, and Dunbar there and showing some pretty good speed down the sideline.
Lennon, another mistake tonight. The Eagles got the ball now 2 yards closer to the goal than they would have after the fumble recovery that didn't stand, and Callender tries to head downhill around the right side. Nice pickup on 1st down. Momentum shifts back and forth.
So maybe that was a fumble after further review.
Just the football guys correcting things after.
Right.
Okay, all right. Again, the kind of mistakes that Beamer teams have traditionally not made. But this one, inexperienced.
Goes without saying, you go on the road in any conference, you cannot have those kind of miscues.
Callender on the delay, not much up the middle. Kerry Wade, the free safety, the backup there on the stop. It'll set up 3rd and short. Can they convert? Are we going to see Apanavichus with his first career field goal attempt here? They're in range for the first-time kicker at this point. But they're definitely thinking 1st down.
Yeah, but one thing we've seen is a willingness from Boston College. It's almost as if they wait for 3rd down to attack the Virginia Tech secondary and the one-on-one opportunities again on the outside.
This time they attack the center of the line with Callender, and he is stopped short. Nolan Burchett, the senior defensive end, grabs him short of the marker, and now a decision for O'Brien because they didn't get it. It's going to be 4th and more than a yard.
Kicker's excited. He's already halfway out. He wants his chance. That's his chance to attempt that first kick.
And the lefty will attempt his first field goal of his life in his first organized football game. Converted that PAT coolly earlier, and he again was in this crowd a year ago, body paint sombrero as a fan. Kicked in the stadium alone many days, waiting for this chance. And the lefty convert. And how about that? Hugs from his teammates. His parents hugging in the stands.
That's great.
Steve Apanavichus, the walk-on. Welcome to college football.
As you said, Chris, in the student section last year, had a dream to come out here to help this team out. It finally fulfills the dream with his first field goal.
Yeah, it's a lot different than kicking in the stadium alone off of tee or in practice. Primetime national TV in a big conference game. He has put the Eagles up by a touchdown in the 3rd quarter.
ESPN's College Football Primetime. Brought to you by Cadillac and Singular, raising the bar.
Doug Flutie, Heisman Trophy winner, New England hero, one of two retired numbers here at Boston College. Mike Ruth, the big defensive lineman, the other. There's old number 22. Hey, he could drop kick the ball through the goalpost. Did that in his final, NFL game, I think. So
yeah.
He appreciates quality kicking.
No doubt about that.
Apanavicius, is this job his for one game? For a lot longer, who knows? Ryan Oliger, again, the starting kicker. Indefinite suspension. Apanavicius trying to make the most of his chance, and now trying to make the most of this return is Eddie Royal. Gets out near the 40-yard line. Little footnote, no pun intended, to Flutie's career. Patriots here, the Dolphins. Remember this? New Year's Day, 06. This hadn't been done in more than 60 years. Extra point, good. Counts as one.
I can't believe it was 6 minutes to go.
Hey, look. Apanavicius got the drop kick down, just in case O'Brien decides to go old school on us.
Considering the circumstances, I've been really impressed with how calm he has been.
Who, Flutie?
No. Drop the name for me there, will you?
Apanavicius.
Yeah. How calm the kicker has been yesterday and tonight.
He didn't like that kickoff. See, now he's frustrated. He's made the PAT and the field goal, and now he didn't help his team out with a touchback. And it's the Hokies at the 43, down by 7. Morgan goes in motion. They give it to Orr. It's a couple of nice blocks. Picks up 5. There's Danny McGrath, the center out there, helping out Dwayne Brown.
You and I have talked about this all year, about the ACC. People always want to talk about the great conferences out there. I think the ACC is not only down as a conference, but I think they're down because of the quarterback play that we've seen from top to bottom in this conference. A lot of inexperience. 18 different quarterbacks have started, 9 of them making their debuts in this conference. It's cyclical, but this year a down year, and we're seeing tonight 2 guys that aren't playing great. Tim.
Well, the guys who were returning, it was supposed to be, as you see a flag on the play, the short run by Orr on 2nd and 6. The guys who were supposed to be great, Kyle Wright at Miami, Drew Weatherford, Florida State, now marching back 5, have not really come through very well. Then you've got all the new quarterbacks, and how do you pick an all-ACC quarterback?
It's easy. You pick Will Proctor at Clemson.
But again,
first-year starter, has lost a lot of people around him, and I'll tell you, the guy has really done a good job. As good, if not better, than Charlie Whitehurst as far as being consistent with some of his decisions and what he's trying to do.
He's played well.
But after that, where are you going to go?
Okay, but even that, if he's your all-conference quarterback,
Exactly.
8 touchdowns, 5 picks.
Right, and then you compare that to the Pac-10 or some of the other quarterbacks that are out there.
I mean, there's some other leagues, too. I don't think the Big 12 is getting very good quarterback play, other than maybe Chase Daniel at Missouri. McCoy's coming along at Texas. Lennon rolls out. The high throw for Clowney. It was dangerous. Defenders in the area. Pruitt, the linebacker, over on the receiver. See that these guys are the passing leaders, and it's these two in yardage per game anyway.
Yeah, they're not having great games tonight with their yards. You know who isn't on there? That should be. Look out for our guy at Raleigh, Daniel Evans.
Yeah.
Last couple games, the way he stepped up, I'm anxious to see if the Wolfpack are ready to show some maturity against Wake Forest on Saturday.
They have 4 road games down the stretch in this league, which is why these two teams are not out of it. Oh, blindside fumble. Glennon coughs it up. Eagles in business at the 30. Wow. Austin Giles just clocked the quarterback who didn't see him coming and knocked the ball free. There's a flag, which I guess they have picked up. Albright, the backup and the true freshman on the recovery, but Austin Giles just plowed in there and hammered Glennon.
Austin Giles is a freshman going right around Dwayne Brown, who's one of the better offensive linemen in the ACC. You're talking about a guy with quickness going right around. Dwayne Brown, a former tight end, moved to tackle last year. He just used his speed to get around him, never gave up on a play. And I'll tell you, the thing that surprised me was that Sean Glennon never quite felt the pressure.
No.
He never quite felt it. He was right in front of him. And the more experience he gains, as a quarterback, the more he'll realize he's got to step up and get away from that pressure. But a great move by a young defensive end for Boston College.
Got to play it and dreams of it. Quarterback doesn't see him coming at all. L.V. Whitworth still fighting. Gets free to the 20. Lowers his shoulder and barrels down near the 15. And that big hit and the fumble recovery has energized the Eagles offense in this crowd.
That time it was Whitworth by himself making something happen, cutting back against the grain and using power and a little bit of a burst there once he got away from the initial surge of the defense. Great vision right there to cut back, and then the burst to pull away from the Virginia Tech defense.
Gets the call again after the 14-yard gain. And now a flag comes in. They get the face mask again. It was Macho Harris who went low. Chris Ellis, who had that critical face mask penalty earlier, saying, what did I do? Macho Harris, the corner, still down on the field. He tried to go low on Whitworth there. It'll be double penalties on Virginia Tech, and this Hokie team, Frank Beamer's quickly unraveling.
Offside, defense. That foul is declined. Personal foul, face mask, #1 defense. That penalty's accepted. Half the distance to the goal. Automatic first down.
This is just unacceptable for Frank Beamer to watch this team react to adversity. It's one thing to have your quarterback get sacked and fumble the ball, but you've got to react to the adversity that your offense puts you in and go out there and play with some confidence and try to at least hold them to a field goal, or try to go out there and play with some confidence. These first 2 or 3 plays since the fumble, Virginia Tech not playing with a lot of an attitude. Bud Foster always talks about the lunch pail mentality. We're not seeing it here since the fumble recovery by BC.
And first and goal. Nice penetration there. Vince Hall, the linebacker, able to stop Whitworth for a loss. Well, if they could hold him to a field goal, still just down 10. You saw that Glennon appeared to be okay. Mike O'Kane, the former NC State head coach, who's the quarterback coach here, was trying to get his poise back, but it depends on the defense making a stop here.
The way the Virginia Tech offense is playing tonight, if this Virginia Tech defense talks about lunch pail mentality and how they pride themselves on being tough, they've got to step up here in a goal line stand.
3 receivers on second and goal. Ryan, to his right, just throws it away. Good job there. Ellis got in to pressure Ryan out of the pocket. Nobody open.
And they're showing a little bit more heart here these last 2 plays. You can see Ellis trying to encourage his team. Reason I say they've got to show that kind of heart. 5:35 to go in the third with the way Sean Glennon and the Hokies are moving the ball. You give up a touchdown here to go down 17-3. Trouble. They've got to stop. They've got to be. If you're Virginia Tech, you have to keep them out of the end zone and force the field goal. Look at this right here.
The stack. Slipping out of the backfield is Whitworth, who catches the ball at the 5. Can he fight to the goal line? No. Excellent gang tackling by that Hokie defense. Brandon Flowers, the 190-pound corner, combining with Hall, physical tackles. They try to get it to Whitworth. They'd have him fight his way in the end zone, and we're going to see our guy Epinavagis for another short field goal attempt.
That's a great job. Bud Foster showing some passion of his own, but a great job by the defense of forcing the field goal. They took away the throws into the end zone, made Ryan dump it underneath the Whitworth, and came up and made the tackle.
First field goal is 36. This one just 20 yards from a tough angle for the lefty. And he gets it through. Where has this guy been his whole life as a kicker? He's perfect, and tonight he has 7 points.
Loose tonight.
And the BC's 13. The lead is 10.
Well, Steve Epinavagis has been the story tonight. The walk-on kicker getting his start. And what a night he's had. 2 PATs, 1 field goal, and like Kirk Herbstreit said, some great kickoffs. Mom and Dad joining me right now. I know you drove down from Pennsylvania tonight. out tonight?
We were nervous in the car, but confident because Steve is confident, and we're very proud of him.
Well, we saw you guys out here pregame taking some video, and Dad, I know your son had played some football before, but how are you doing pregame?
I'm okay.
Yeah, right. You're not
Thrilling, though.
Is it? Mom, how does this compare to a soccer game?
It's very much on a grander scale, I'd say. We love soccer, but we love football now, so we're big football fans.
Chris, we'll send it up. We'll ask one more when you're done.
Well, as Eddie Royal taking a kickoff from Apanavicius and getting out across the 40. So the 2 field goals in the PAT, not able to reach the end zone with a touchback, but what a night for that family and this guy, huh?
We've got to ask you one more question. The team has nicknamed your son Sid Vicious. Do you have any idea who that is?
No.
Dad?
I think I heard the name a long time ago.
Punk rock band.
Okay. We thought as much.
It sounded familiar.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. Good luck. Enjoy the rest of the night.
Thank you.
I'm just guessing there wasn't a lot of Sex Pistols played in the Apanavicius household there in the 70s and 80s. Well, Virginia Tech needs to get a little vicious on offense here. 4 turnovers, 2 fumbles, and 2 interceptions to put in a hole here. Glasper, the stop on Orr, and again, the good kickoff return has set them up in field position. They're already in BC territory. But consistency, Kirk, sustaining things have been tough.
Well, avoiding mistakes. They've had touchdown passes called back. They've had crucial penalties throughout the night. But, Chris, it's also about execution of the passing game and getting the ball thrown downfield. Boston College winning the battle in the trenches throughout this entire game.
And what a reversal from last year's game. Orr hit and a loss there. And Jay Raji, a 340-pounder. Able to get him behind the line of scrimmage. A year ago down in Blacksburg, it was an embarrassment for a BC team that prides itself. And again, another marker is down.
Face mask, number 35 defense. 5 yards to be added to the end of the run. Still first down.
Minor face mask penalty on Robert Francois. But a year ago, BC was humiliated physically down in Blacksburg. The offensive line couldn't get any push. The defense got run over. It's been a big, I think, motivating factor coming into this game.
Well, I think it was, but I also think being here as opposed to having to go to Lane Stadium and also dealing with the inexperience up front of Render and Sherman is helping out Boston College too.
On 1st and 5, Clowney has to, Orr has to fight to try to get back to the line of scrimmage. Brady Smith stopping him on a loss. So now the running game drying up.
Well, when you combine you're breaking in a new quarterback, you have an offensive line that's it's just at this point not as dominant as you've had in the past. The continuity is not there. The confidence is not there. When you combine those two things and you only have one running back, it's no wonder this offense is still trying to kind of feel their way to create their identity.
And no quarterback who can really make plays with his legs, which they're used to here. Glennon fires underneath, caught, but stopped short of the first down by Jolon Dunbar. Here's Clowney.
Well, that almost looked like another face mask. We've seen a lot of them tonight. Both varieties, the personal foul and the accidental. And that one, again, looked like a shot high to the receiver. Maybe he just gets him a little bit low. Let's see if he gets the face mask.
I kind of just whacked him upside the head. But they get the 1st and 5 after that face mask and find themselves in the 3rd and 3. Morgan in motion, now goes back to the top of the formation. Lennon drifting back, fires on the sidelines, caught by Morgan, who has the first down before skipping out of bounds. They'll spot it at the 35.
You're talking about a receiver in Josh Morgan that the tighter the call and the bigger the play, he just has a way of being nonchalant, almost steps out of bounds. I'm sure they'll go back and look at that. The left foot stepping out of bounds and even catching the ball out of bounds.
Yeah, that's going to be reviewed for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Oops.
First of all, he stepped out of bounds right there. He's an ineligible receiver at this point.
On the field.
And then he catches the ball and his right foot comes down out of bounds.
Yeah, they're going to review the officials right there on the sideline.
That's the double whammy, and they missed both those calls. Now here is a clear case, cut and dry, 5 seconds to look at it, in and out, incomplete.
Coach him up.
I just want to see. This is a great example of how long this will take them.
All right, tick, tick, to put the clock on it right now.
Well,
yeah, I mean,
the turf comes up for being out of bounds.
But there's the key.
I mean, he's out of bounds right there. It doesn't get much clearer.
If there's any doubt the first time, he's definitely stepped out after making the catch. He's in the air during the catch, and that right foot comes down clearly on the stripe. So this will come back, and it's going to set up a 4th and 3. We're going to presume that this is resolved somewhat quickly and correctly.
See, this is an example of what can you be looking at. I mean, how long do you think it took us to realize he was out of bounds?
They want to review that other play before. Was the hand coming forward? Just take another look at that one while they're over there.
How many times did you have to see that to realize that he caught the ball with his foot out of bounds? I just want to know, you know, you're a fan, you watch a lot of games. How long did it take you? Let's review it just to be sure one more time. Catch, feet in the air, down foot. Out of bounds. Maybe if I circled enough, those guys will realize that he's out of bounds.
Well, I'm not.
All right,
I'm not saying I'm the sharpest knife, but I did catch that the first time, and they're still looking at it over here.
Yeah,
So.
Getting to the bottom of it.
Yeah, let's get that pen out there. Again, like a mark. I think Josh knows it didn't count.
But again, the double whammy. If they were checking to see if he stepped out of bounds, but not only did he step out of bounds without being pushed, that's one infraction. Caught the ball out of bounds, and we're still.
Well, they've moved the chains for a first time. Maybe they have to go back and remind each other where the ball would be placed for this play. They're trying to figure out the spot, so you can just calm down. I don't think you should take this long to figure the spot out either. There you go. We know the feeling.
I was going to, Chris, if it's an incompletion, wherever the previous play was is where the spot is.
Correct. But they don't know. See, they moved the chains. They're always set up, fired up for first down here. They got to go back and figure out where the ball was.
Okay. We'll get to the bottom of this. Just hang in there.
Marty Aronoff, our crack statistician, says the ball's back at the 42.
There's indisputable video evidence that the player was out of bounds. It's an incomplete pass. It'll be fourth down and 3. Please reset the game clock to 2 minutes and 20 seconds.
Maybe they were trying to figure out the time. That might have been the big issue.
They're going to add 14 seconds back on the clock. And again, this is going to set up a 4th down play. And Nick Schmidt, the punter, is on the field for the Hokies. So another reversal tonight, which is very important. You agree with punting the ball down in there, down by 10, as opposed to going for it from the 42 of BC when they need 3 yards?
I agree with trying to get the ball pinned back as opposed to going. Yeah, I would definitely punt the ball here.
Okay.
Got a whole quarter to go. You're only down 10 points. And you know, Frank Beamer, once in a while, he's got a few tricks up his sleeve.
This would be a situation where you could see a potential fake. The Eagles are looking very aware down there. You see, they're not going to pressure.
They have
4 guys standing up.
Yeah, they have their defense on the field.
But Schmidt will kick it, and he booms it pretty deep. He's going to bounce inside the 5 into the end zone, so they end up netting just 22 yards on that decision. Not what you're looking for if you're deciding to punt there. It's been that kind of night.
Beamer ball does not accept a net like that off of a punt.
We talked about the impact players coming in. Boston College, Matt Ryan, 106 yards. That's been it, but it's been enough.
Yeah, and they've missed some golden opportunities downfield against the Virginia Tech defense. And Dunbar on the defensive side has the big interception. 5 tackles, been all over the field for the Eagle defense.
Play action fake to Callender. Ryan thought about taking a shot downfield. Now fires incomplete for Challenger on the far side. Took a look downfield. We've been waiting for the first real deep throw of the night.
As frustrating a day as this has been for Virginia Tech and Frank Beamer, the head coach knows he needs his guy here. He needs his young quarterback to keep his confidence up and continue to keep coming back. Mike O'Kane down there talking to him as well, right there in the sweatshirt. He's the quarterback coach this year, taking over in the first year for Kevin Rogers.
Brandon Robinson with the catch. Now tries to fight for first down yardage. He's corralled at the 24. Vince Hall on the tackle. And there's a Hokie player down on the field. Appears to be the excellent inside linebacker Xavier Adibi. Or to the Adibi brothers. Nathaniel is an excellent defensive pass rusher for this team. I certainly hope Xavier's okay. ESPN Full Circle presents a huge SEC showdown on the Plains. Get the game from every angle. Traditional telecast as Florida takes on Auburn on ESPN. ESPN2 offers commentary from Colin Coward, Lee and myself as well. Chirping in there. ESPNU puts you in the director's chair with multiple camera choices. ESPN Full Circle, Florida, the Mighty Gators against the Auburn Tigers, delivered by AT&T Saturday night, 7:45 Eastern Time. Jordan Hare will be rocking. Must win for Auburn's conference chances. 3rd and 6. Ryan pump fakes. Now he'll loop it downfield. Challengers the receiver out there, but we've picked on Macho Harris. That's not pretty good coverage.
Yeah, I was going to say, we've been all over Macho Harris, and that time he put himself in a position. They tried to catch him guessing a little bit with an underneath throw. They thought that the way he's played tonight, they thought, hey, he's going to be aggressive and try to jump the underneath throw. But he stayed in position and made a nice play for the Virginia Tech defense. It's been a tough night for Macho Harris, but that time makes the play for the Hokies.
So the Hokie defense does its job after the touchback, a 3 and out, and Ayers to kick to Eddie Royal. It's a short kick off the side of his foot, an ugly looking punt that bounces at the 50 and then goes backwards. You haven't even seen quality punting tonight, have we? That ball traveling only 22 yards, and the Hokies will set up inside BC territory as we check out their impact players.
It hasn't been much of an impact tonight for Virginia Tech on the offensive side. And even though Sean Glennon has an opportunity to make plays with a high percentage, it's Brandon Orr, the guy that they've got to get on track. Eddie Royal and the entire group of Virginia Tech wide receivers yet to get downfield and make some big plays. And Vince Hall, 6 tackles, but a fairly quiet night tonight for the Hokie defense. They've got to take advantage of this field position.
Absolutely, and they'll give it to Brandon Orr, who kind of slices forward for about 7 yards inside the 40. Final minute of the 3rd quarter, down by 10 with this great field position. So much of the night. You're right, you got to cash in. See big Sergio Render, talented true freshman guard, trotting off.
True freshman, 6'3", 320 pounds. They say he is a future star for this offensive line, but part of that inexperience that's affecting the continuity up front.
He's had some growing pains for sure as a freshman. They get no push up front for Orr that time. He tried the right side. Brian Toll came up to fill, help out the D-line. It's a loss.
That offensive line, as you said, Chris, they've had growing pains. They've struggled at times with the defensive line, winning the point of attack, winning the line of scrimmage. And when Brian Toll is in there, you see a push, and the push always seems to be going backwards for Virginia Tech.
Despite that tender shoulder, he's given it his all tonight. A whistle before the snap. A very important 3rd and 4 will be the first play of the 4th quarter. And the Eagles close out an important home win. It's a Ponavicius 7 of the 13 points. And the Hokies in the hole headed to the 4th. Now Ryan looks over the middle of the end zone. Caught. Touchdown. And the lefty convert. And how about that? And a tough angle for the lefty. And he gets it through. Where has this guy been his whole life as a decade? Now Bonavicius coming through in the clutch in his first game. Can the BC defense come through? 3rd and 4 for the Hokies. Glennon has time, has room to run if he wants to. Dives and gets the first down inside the 35-yard line. So Kevin Akins there on the stop, but the Hokies have a chance here as we begin the fourth quarter, down by 10. Now, what this game has needed, Kirk, what it's needed is a dynamic playmaker. Somebody to run around and create something on the field and spark things.
Well,
who would come to mind at the school if you're looking for that?
We've been looking all night for it.
They fake the handoff. Glennon being chased.
Not feeling it.
And a flag flies. Once again, that was Austin Giles, the guy who hammered him on the fumble, who was chasing from behind. Now we'll check the flag. It came from that holding zone, and it will march the Hokies back one more time. A big mistake. So, getting back to our theme of playmaking, Doug Flutie, of course, Boston College legend, old number 22, who's supporting Billy, his nephew here, as a backup quarterback, number 14. You get to just be a fan tonight.
Just get to be a fan. I got permission tonight to be a fan, dress as a fan, here with my family, watching Billy, obviously watching Boston College.
Well, you're watching two offenses that are struggling here. As the next quarterback who loves to create out there, don't you want to yell down, make something happen, go downfield.
Stretch the field. Virginia Tech needs to. I mean, at the end of the Georgia Tech game, they finally had to and started throwing the ball down the field and made some plays. He can throw the ball down the field. I've seen it.
Oh, yeah. And both these quarterbacks, that's the challenge. We've been saying it since the first quarter is two good defenses. You've got to take some shots downfield to open things up.
Well, they have to now after the penalty marches them back. It's 1st and 20. Back at the 43-yard line. Lennon, shovel pass inside to Josh Morgan. Nothing doing. Good job by the Eagles defensive line staying in there. Mark Herzlich, the true freshman linebacker.
This is a Boston College team because of what's happened this year. They're so close to being undefeated. They lost to North Carolina State. I don't think people have a really good appreciation for Tom O'Brien and the job he and his staff do year after year after year for this university.
Just very consistent and disciplined team. They don't make a lot of mistakes and beat themselves. They've been a top 20 team, a bowl team ever since he has been here.
Chance at a big bowl game. The ball batted down, and once again, that's Herzlich, the true freshman, having a terrific series, made the tackle, and now breaks up the pass, and you have to believe that we've got two plays trying to get 16 yards here.
Well, slow developing play, obviously trying to set up the flanker screen to the outside to Royal, but I tell you, this young defensive front from Boston College continuing to grow and continuing to become a confident group. And when you got the big guy in the middle pushing people around, they've been very effective tonight.
As loud as this place has been all night on 3rd and 16. They're stomping on the seats. Lennon gets late pressure, gets dragged down. Kevin Akins, the backer, came on the blitz, came late. And the Hokies, once promising drive, fizzles out as they move backwards into their own territory. BC defense stepped up.
Well, that time, Doug, they obviously with the three-man rush, you're thinking, oh, they're going to drop 8, but the delayed blitz right in the middle of the screen by the linebacker Akins catches Glennon off guard and catches the offensive line off guard.
Once he saw the right guard turn to double, then he released himself and went in there. Usually you have a 3-down line, you can get either the 8-man drop, but a lot of times you want to bring a 4th rusher to take care of rush lanes.
Schmidt back to punt. Like we talked about, the ACC is just a conference that's struggling with quarterback play right now. You don't see a real standout guy. A lot of inexperience, but just the tough kind of zone blitz defenses you see in this league have been able to wreak havoc on these young quarterbacks.
The guy that's done the job is the freshman down at NC State. Yeah. Evans, since he stepped on the field, has been the most consistent of anyone. You know, Boston College has led the ACC in total offense, and Matt Ryan's done a great job here. But, you know, they need to be more explosive and make some plays. Right now, they're that disciplined type team, trying not to beat yourself.
What about number 14 here? What about Billy? Obviously, he carries the pressure of your last name winning if he gets on the field. Is he going to be, you're a little biased, but he's going to be a player here?
He's going to have a shot. I think he really impressed and opened eyes at the quarterback position in camp this year, and is really slated as the number 3 guy, but they want to redshirt him this year.
The Eagles and O'Brien will try to milk some clock with this 10-point lead early in the 4th quarter, and it's Whitworth pushing ahead. You just try to do your best to keep old Craig James and John Saunders in line this week. Coach, bring some, some knowledge to them. Coach him up a little bit in there.
I tell you what, they really brought Billy in as an athlete and thought he's going to be an excellent punter kicker, and he is. He has a shot at that as well, but I think he opened eyes at the quarterback position. As far as my buddies, they're going to get jealous that I'm actually with the first team tonight.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for the plug, buddy. Ryan steps up, puts it over the middle, caught. Nice job finding Gonzalez in stride, and he has a first down at the 30-yard line. Doug, let's go back and enjoy this game as a fan. We appreciate your time.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Good to see you.
Keep up the great work on Saturdays in the studio for ABC.
Dana Bible, of course, come to Boston College. You think about number 22, making so many great plays for this school. The Hail Mary everybody talks about, but just a great person and a great citizen for this community. He's stayed close to this university, and they embrace him.
I like when you can come in a T-shirt, unshaven to a game, just kind of enjoy it. That's
nice.
Good stuff.
Eat a hot dog, chill.
On the delay is Whitworth up to the 30. And again, the pressure falls on this Hokie defense to make a play, make something happen.
I started to say, I was really impressed there with Dana Bible, the offensive coordinator. You're thinking they're just going to milk the clock, they're going to run the football, they're going to try to just take as much clock off as they can. And for an offense that hasn't necessarily executed all that well, taking a chance on second down, and Matt Ryan stepping up with a big throw to Gonzalez. And there's Dana Bible. He's been here for a long time in his 8th year and has a good feel for the flow of the game. Took a chance and it worked out, and they're going to be able to take more time off the clock.
Whitworth stopped for a loss. Bible spent a year with the Eagles as offensive coordinator before coming here. He was with the Cincinnati Bengals, your beloved Bengals.
Yes,
briefly as a quarterback coach. Cincinnati guy. There's so much of an Ohio influence on this BC team with Tom O'Brien, St. Xavier graduate. A lot of Cincinnati players coming from the Catholic schools.
Yeah, Tom O'Brien playing at St. Xavier and being very familiar with that area, the GCL down in Southwest Ohio, one of the better leagues in the entire country for high school football. And he goes down often to St. X or Moeller or Elder to get some of that talent.
The Cincy guys had to hear from the Massachusetts locals, and the Patriots destroyed the Bengals the other week. And another third down throw and catch as Ryan Purvis, the tight end, collects it up near the 50. BC can keep on moving the chains and chewing the clock. A DB there on the stop.
Well, they attacked a DB in one-on-one coverage. Remember, a DB just went off the field, and Purvis is known as the receiving tight end. Got to get out to the flat as quickly as he can. It is all alone to the outside. Purvis makes the catch, and a nice throw by Ryan. Ryan told me yesterday when we sat down with him that he's worked so hard in just the little things, like a simple throw like that, putting it out in front of the receiver so he can make the catch and get upfield for extra yardage.
So they've used the backs, tight ends, and receivers. Good balance there. Whitworth to the left. It's a DB with the pursuit and the tackle. Back to Reese Davis in the studio for a 30 and 30 update.
All right, Chris, the investigation continues into the plane crash that killed Yankees pitcher Corey Lytle. The National Transportation Safety Board had a briefing saying that evidence suggested that the plane's engine was still running at the time of the crash. More on that on SportsCenter coming up after the game. ESPN News all the time. And by the way, the playoff game, Mets and Cardinals, 2-0 Mets. It's on ESPN Radio.
Reese, thank you. Boston College. As the clock moves inside 10 minutes, just continues to run LV Whitworth. Corey Robertson the stop. So mistakes tonight for Virginia Tech have been so costly here at Alumni Stadium. Their perfect record in ACC road games very much in jeopardy. They came in 9-0. The Kings of Thursday night losing only once in 13 Thursday night games. That's very much in jeopardy as well, as BC has played a pretty mistake-free football game relatively.
Yeah, that graphic tells the story. 4 turnovers, all 4 turnovers leading to the Boston College points, and for Sean Glennon, inexperienced quarterback on the road. Virginia Tech's been vulnerable all year against the better opponents, and we've seen it again tonight.
Ryan, plenty of time, fires downfield into traffic, incomplete. Tried to find Gonzalez, who lost his helmet on the hit. Kerry Wade, the Rover, got there late, and the flag is down near the line of scrimmage. And it'll be another mistake on the Hokies. Offsides.
Number 30, defense, 5 yards. Still third down.
They got Wade for the offsides. He was downfield in coverage. 8th penalty for Tech, and it'll set up a 3rd and short here. It's going to be a long week in Blacksburg when they review the tape if the Hokies are not able to come back and rally in this 4th quarter. Coming off the loss at home to Georgia Tech, and they had so many defensive lapses, fell in a hole. And now here, high hopes to bounce back in Boston, still very much in the conference race when they came here. But to have the mistakes pile up in this fashion, frustrating. They're throwing 3rd and 2, and the wide open receiver is Clarence Megwa, running room down inside the 25. Nice little play call. The Hokies probably expecting a run there. And the freshman receiver beats Flowers.
Great call, 3rd and short, a crosser. And the defense just gets caught up in the traffic. Brandon Flowers going underneath. He gets caught up in the traffic, and simple throw from Matt Ryan. Look at all the confusion there in the middle. 18 Flowers trying to stay with his man, but by the time he catches up to him, it's a 1st down and a big gain for the Eagles.
Eagles have a lot of those routes where guys cross and try to create confusion, maybe a couple collisions back there.
Anytime you see a defense in man coverage on 3rd down, you're going to see a lot of crossers from the receivers, and executed very well, and the clock continues to tick.
I'll try to chew more of it. A nice physical run by L.V. Whitworth. Corey Robertson on the stop. A little combination of some physical running and clutch completions on 3rd down. Toss in the offside penalty, which gave BC a chance on that 3rd down. 5.5 minutes already chewed up on this drive, protecting the 10-point lead.
What a drive here, and the reason they've been able to continue to stay on the field is that Matt Ryan's been able to hit some big passes to keep the chains moving.
Gonzalez comes in motion. Give it instead to Whitworth. Vince Hall on the stop. Maybe they just want to set up our guy up in averages for the chance at a hat trick here, or the field goal.
They've done their job here. You can run the football now, and you're talking about taking over 6 minutes off the clock on a drive that's crucial for both teams. Clock as much as the enemy as anything now for Virginia Tech.
On this drive, Ryan's only thrown 3 passes, completed all of them for 1st downs. They need 5 here. And wide open is Challenger for a clinching touchdown.
Night for this Virginia Tech defense. Confusion, breakdowns right here. Vince Hall is coming here. Look at the receiver breaking and the confusion by the defensive backs. Nobody has Challenger breaking through behind the defense, and the Hokie defensive backs, after the catch, looking at each other in disgust, shrugging their shoulders, saying, I thought you had him.
Challenger had 2 touchdowns coming in. He's got 2 tonight. There was no challenge on the pitch and catch there. Apanavicius converts again. Boston College up by 17. This being presented on ESPN HD, presented by Pioneer Plasma Displays. A wild scene here in Boston College down to Aaron Andrews.
And pretty darn wild, Chris, is Virginia Tech defense, their bench. Kirk, you mentioned mass confusion, and as you see it right there, Vince Hall getting in the face of Aaron Rouse saying, that was your man, that was your man. Tempers flaring up over here, guys. teammates had to separate them both?
Yeah, I could see it. Vince Hall shrugging his shoulders and looking. He's an emotional player, but this is not what this team needs right now. They've got to keep their cool and show some maturity. I know this is a tough loss, and I know they're all in this together. It's going to be an emotional locker room for Frank Beamer and the Hokies after this game.
Who knows? I mean, Rouse and Hall might be hugging after the game as the ball is booted out of bounds. It was kickoff by Brandon Robinson, not Apanavicius. They go to the receiver to kick off, and he boots it out of bounds there.
Well, Dana Bible deserves a lot of credit for that last drive. Matt Ryan executed. They took some chances on second down before they got to third down, and I think Matt Ryan appreciated the opportunity to make some plays. And here, broken coverage, challenging the touchdown, and he looks up to Dana Bible and says, "Good job, Coach. Thanks for the help down here," because that was a game-clinching drive.
And meanwhile, on that Hokie sidelines, we'll keep an eye on what happens in the final 6.5 minutes here, because this is a Tech team that was rolling along undefeated and is now apparently on its way to back-to-back losses, something they haven't done since the 03 season. I think it was the last time they've lost back-to-back games.
Well, the reason this frustrates me in watching Virginia Tech is this is something that we've seen for the last couple, 2 or 3 years, is frustration and talking a little bit too much and not playing enough. It's uncharacteristic of Frank Beamer's teams, but when you see that, it's unacceptable. It needs to be addressed because we keep seeing it from Frank Beamer and the Hokies. And 2 years ago, with Brian Randall's leadership, you didn't see it. But this is my opinion. Ever since Michael Vick came through Blacksburg, he is the greatest player maybe we've ever seen, one of the greatest players of all time. But he took Frank Beamer's program to a different level when it came to recruiting players. D'Angelo Hall, Kevin Jones, other players came in, and with that they brought an individual mindset, worried more about the NFL than the lunch pail attitude of the Hokies. And from that point on, it's been a little shaky in Blacksburg.
The throw and caught by Clowney on the far side of the field. You're talking about shaky off the field, on the field. As you get more talented recruits, you're saying maybe you don't get the hungry kind of lunch pail guys. You get guys with a different agenda.
Well, I look at Virginia Tech and the program that Frank Beamer has built here, very similar to Kirk Ferentz in Iowa. They get guys who fit the system. And when you start getting individual players who have great recognition because of their high school careers, sometimes they get offset a little bit with what their goal should be.
Lennon is hauled down, sacked. And good performance tonight from B.J. Raji, the big nose tackle. Beamer frustrated out on the field.
I'm telling you right now, for Frank Beamer, beyond just losing this game, the way they have demonstrated that they've lost their cool here in the last few minutes, that's more frustrating than losing the game.
Now in third down, incomplete. High throw for Eddie Royal. You're right. This is a big stage. This program was built in part on these showcase Thursday night games. Now on the big stage, the Hokies are in disarray and about to lose.
And don't forget, they have Southern Miss next week, and then we get them again on Thursday night at home against Clemson. And something's going to have to happen between now and then for Frank Beamer. They're going to have some serious soul-searching, closed-door meetings where they find out what kind of team and what kind of year they're going to have. Because what happened on that sideline is part of the game, and I understand that, but they've got to put that behind them and mature and grow up if they want to have a good year this year.
Well, they said coming in, this game meant the difference for them between a real attractive bowl game and Boise. That was their word. So when they lose this game, what will they feel like there's left to play for? Will these problems even snowball?
Great point.
Now, I think they'll be up for Clemson.
Sure they will.
Lane Stadium crowd at home, night game, a chance to spoil Clemson season. They'll bounce back.
By the way, then they go to Miami the next week. After that,
we'll talk about what lies ahead for the BC Eagles in this wide open ACC. Are they perhaps headed for a division championship?
ESPN's College Football Primetime is presented by Applebee's Neighborhood Grill and Bar. Eating good in the neighborhood. Applebee's. And in part by Nissan, proud presenter of the 2006 Heisman. Visit theheismanvote.com to cast your vote.
looks good. Is that our post-game plan? It's the oldest restaurant in America, the Union Oyster House. 180 years in business, downtown Boston. How do we know it's the oldest restaurant in America? They claim it.
No idea, my man. But I thought we did a nice job last night getting after it.
Chose Italian. Could have gone seafood.
We did go Italian.
Next time.
Well, we always like to carve up. Love to carve up the night before a big game.
Some of us do. Some of us then work it off the next day. Others,
yeah, of course,
don't. The Eagles try to lead this clock now, protect the 17-point lead, and then head down to Tallahassee for the next game. We'll talk about the road that lies ahead, but let's check with Reese Davis now in the studio. Reese?
All right, Chris, Clemson continues to flex its muscle, although there's not much opposition from Temple. 63-9, the final there. James Davis, 3 touchdowns on 9 carries, all coming in the first half. Clemson gets Georgia Tech next, and then Virginia Tech the following Thursday.
Little non-conference breather for the Tigers. How long is Temple going to continue to play Division I football?
You think they'll shut it down?
I don't know. It's pretty tough there. Boston College now, they go to Tallahassee. We were here last year when they led after 3 quarters over Florida State. The Noles had a couple touchdowns in the 4th quarter. What about that one at Tallahassee? The home games are going to be manageable. You have to believe Buffalo, Duke, and Maryland. But the road games all tough.
Well, the road game's tough, but we have this game, of course, November 23rd on Thanksgiving night on a Thursday night. But worst case scenario, the way Boston College played tonight, the way they're really growing up with their young players, pretty good shot. Worst case, 9-2 by the time they get to that 12th game. And all of a sudden, they become a serious contender in the ACC and what they're trying to do.
Well, they're in the Atlantic Division, and now they've got a couple of real quality wins. Again, beating Clemson in double overtime, and now the home field win apparently over Virginia Tech. And you know, it is a very challenging schedule having to visit Tallahassee and Miami, but BC making a strong statement here. NC State, the division leader, still has, again, 4 conference road games ahead for the Wolfpack. They do have, obviously, the head-to-head tie-break edge on BC by winning that dramatic game down there in Raleigh. The pass is dropped by Callender. Rule it incomplete. They're going to rule it a catch and a fumble. I didn't know if he had possession of it. They've ruled a turnover here. Carlton Powell recovering the ball. Did Callender have possession?
It comes down to whether or not he was bobbling the football. See if he was bobbling. Seems like
he never had possession of that.
Boys are all over it tonight. They're going to have to bring that one back.
I mean, we have the technology here, but on the field.
So far, they're going to let him play?
Wow. Frank Beamer wants him to quickly get to the line. Are you kidding me? Finally, the whistle. I mean, that isn't even close to being a catch, is it?
It's under review.
You think so? I mean, listen, Kirk, we got this technology here. I know these things can be corrected, the system you love so much. What has happened to the guys on the field that are making these initial calls? I mean, that didn't look like on the naked eye like a catch and a fumble. It sure didn't look like it on the replay.
He looked like he was just bobbling.
Where is the possession here?
When does he have possession?
Where is the possession of this ball?
I don't know.
Are you kidding me?
Not even close.
How could that be ruled a catch and a fumble on the field?
You're coming over.
No, I'm just saying it.
I'm with you.
I mean, we have the system to correct these things, but on the field, we have seen some very poor initial calls.
That's the thing that's been, to me, surprising is there's been so much focus on the replay booth that we forget that some of these calls should be made plain and simple on the field. And it goes back to the big dispute with Oregon and Oklahoma.
Let's get out the pad and the pencil and take some notes now. But if you say it would save us about a 6-minute delay here if they just get it right in the field. That's not close.
We all agree, my man. We all agree.
No, it's a close little thing where the ball knocked out of his hand before his arm was coming forward. That was a very tough judgment call. This is not that tough on the field. I mean, it's a little tougher to tell from that angle.
The first look showed you that he never quite had possession of the football. This is the one. He just bobbles it the whole time. Never has the ball.
Not even close.
Referee should have a pretty good look from behind the quarterback on that call, too.
Somebody get a look. Somebody.
I mean, are they thinking about the post-game exit plan? What's going on after the
review,
game?
there's indisputable video evidence that the receiver never had possession of the ball. It's an incomplete pass. It's third down.
Now, this has indisputably been a very poor game called by the guys in the field. There's no other way around it. I mean, technology saved a bad call there, but they have not been at their best. No offense to the fine men in the ACC who do a very tough job, but
Clock to 5:09, please.
We're in the ACC next week. North Carolina and Virginia down there in Charlottesville. My first time seeing a football game in Charlottesville. I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, what a beautiful campus.
Yeah, and they say
to take a tour. It's beautiful.
Yeah, no, I've been there
big landmarks.
Once for a basketball feature about 15 years ago. Never been anywhere near the place on a fall.
Gene Corrigan's big down there.
Okay.
Looking forward to catching up with Gino.
Talk about some officiating. This time, and just an old handoff to Andre Callender, runs to the right side, and a flag comes flying right at the point of the tackle. Looks like it's going to be against the visitors again.
After the play, personal foul number 49 on the defense. 15 yards from the succeeding spot. Automatic first down.
How many personal fouls tonight is that for Virginia Tech? I think it's at least 3.
Well, Chris Ellis has had a couple, the defensive end. He had the face mask earlier.
I think it's at least 3. Comes in late. A push. Just, that's where Chris Ellis shouldn't be back on the field the rest of the game. And he's off the field.
You're right, though. This is going to be a tough week because of the loss, sure. Because of how they played, but also some other things. Some uncharacteristic lack of discipline, lack of maturity, lack of everything.
I think it's reached a point for Frank Beamer that even though he has players like Chris Ellis that can help him win, guys who don't want to play the Virginia Tech way sit on the bench. And the guys that are going to go out and play the Virginia Tech way are going to go out there. The reason he's so disgusted is not just because he's a competitor and they're losing the game. It's because what he is seeing from his team tonight and the way they're conducting themselves throughout this game.
And you were saying yesterday, Beamer values very much the character of his team and the reputation of his program. I'd rather lose a game than see this kind of display and see the program embarrassed.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You have to harness the energy and the emotion and passion and put it in a position where it can help you to become a better football player. You can't have late hits. You can't talk trash every play. You cannot do that and have the kind of team. This is a good one here. Get the fans on this one. This is great.
Carolina,
yeah, they're good at this one. Watch it.
They're having fun here. I mean, it's a tough academic school. I know you may not see it from that shot right there, but they got to study hard, and the classwork is serious, and they can blow off a little steam here. This is like the Red Sox tradition they've adopted here, by the way. Song they play at Fenway there.
That's what EA says. It's one of their songs.
8th inning they play it, right?
7th inning. She told me the 7th inning.
I think it's later than that.
Is it?
I don't know. She knows more about goes out at Fenway than I do. Well,
8th inning.
There's a high standard here because of the success of the pro sports team, especially the Patriots with those 3 rings. The Red Sox, of course, the recent World Series. And Tom O'Brien says that the fans and media hold the Eagles to high standards, Aaron.
Certainly has, Chris, and I'm not going to correct you or anything, but it's really 7th inning that they play it.
Oh, we got a battle.
Yeah,
Thank you.
No.
Thank you, Marty.
7th inning stretch, Marty.
Okay, thank you. Okay, it's go time. We're going to have to research this.
Let's talk a little bit more about the ACC. Some of the players that we met with with yesterday said they could see the difference in the fans since they joined that conference. Felt that the fans are finally getting that 12-man kind of feel. Slowly but surely, they're getting their tradition established here. And, they mentioned it's hard, though, because you've got the attention of the Red Sox and the Patriots and the Bruins and all that. But actually, some of the Red Sox were here tonight because they're obviously not playing right now. So they do have some of those support.
No, it's a good feel here. Again, you're only allowed to play one night game on a Thursday every 4 years. That's because the folks in Newton who live around the stadium, they also won't allow them to expand this place, will not tolerate a weeknight game. So once every 4 years, they get to have a big party like this, and they'd like a few more showcase games, but rules are rules around here.
Let me give you a little showcase of Brendan Hill, outside linebacker for Virginia Tech. While the band's having fun, the students are celebrating. 20-3, Boston College up, under 5 minutes to go. Brendan Hill's upset for Virginia Tech. Right here at the bottom. Here he is. He's upset. What's he doing? Boy, he's upset. Look at him. He's down 20-3. There he is. Harry's having a good time. That's what I'm talking about with Virginia Tech.
Get after him, man. You're fired up. You want him to care a little bit more about
the reason, Chris, you get upset is Frank.
He's a senior too, by the way.
Senior. Yeah. He knows better. I mean, you're down 20-3, and the problem is more than just you're losing a game. There's issues.
What if he's a big Neil Diamond fan? He just enjoyed the music, got caught up in it there. You don't buy that at all?
If that's what you think, you want to tell Coach Beamer that?
You can tell him everything you said when we go down and see him on Thursday when Clemson comes in there.
Shane Beamer's going to have a good look at that. His son, who's a coach at Mississippi State, his wife is at home watching. I don't think the Beamer clan is happy with what they're seeing.
I predict we'll see a different looking and Hokie team and different playing team at home in a couple of weeks.
I think you're right.
Or else it'll be another butt kicking by Clemson.
Yep. Or, they're gonna go one direction or the other after this game. After what we've seen tonight.
Well, they're headed south, home, but they don't have to necessarily be headed south for the entire season if they can regroup. Later on, they do have the Hurricanes in November. It's a road game, but who knows what Miami will have to play for at that point in the season. This could be a very interesting-looking ACC championship game.
Yeah, well, the next 2 or 3 weeks are going to tell you everything. I mean, Miami has a couple more scrimmages coming up until they have to go back to work on the road at Georgia Tech, and then Virginia Tech comes down. Clemson has to go to Lane Stadium, where you got to think the Hokies are going to put things in place, and at home at night, we've seen what they can do.
All smiles for Matt Ryan and the Boston College Eagles.
He's allowed to smile.
Oh, yeah. Is that okay with you, Herb Street, if he has a little enjoyment there? All right.
He should dance.
Well, just missed a little 44-yard punt. Fair catch by Eddie Royal. So we'll see if the Hokies and Sean Glennon can at least look and act organized. What may be their final possession of this game. They have not been held to a point total this low. 3 points since, the 95 season, at least in terms of regular season games. He is hammered. Glennon on the blitz just got run over by Kevin Akins. That is the 4th time he's been sacked to match the 4 sacks the Yellow Jackets had against the last game.
One of the other things that Virginia Tech might want to work on is Sean Glennon feeling pressure from his front side. Not his backside, from his front side. We've seen linebackers 3 times tonight close in on him, and him not quite feel that pressure and step away from him.
This is just the Eagles defense having fun and teeing off. Now they rush 4. They slip it out to Orr. A short gain to the 8. Most guys obviously have trouble feeling the pressure from the blind side at their inexperience, but Glennon hasn't been able to see guys coming right at him.
Yeah, and I think that's the dimension that really is affecting this offense as much as anything, is the mobility of the quarterback from the baton handed from Michael Vick to Brian Randall to Marcus Vick. They've always, the last 5 or 6 years, always had a guy back there that can create. And right now, we've not seen that from Sean Glennon.
Glennon, short gain again for Eddie Royal. They have a quarterback they've signed, an incoming recruit. Tyrod Taylor is a very good athlete, supposed to be the next kind of Hampton Road kind of athlete. And he, although Beamer doesn't like to play true freshman and quarterbacks, redshirted even Michael Vick, might he see the field next year?
After what we've seen this year so far from this offense, I think he's going to have a welcome invitation to show the coaches everything that he can do by the time he graduates from high school.
Just a disastrous second half, Kirk, for this offense. 26 snaps, a total 33 yards, giving up 4 sacks and 2 turnovers. That's in the second half.
Yeah, 7-3 at halftime. 7-3.
And now, one final little disastrous footnote for a program that has always hung its hat on special teams, and now even that deserts Beamer. The snap over the head and a safety. Ouch.
About the last thing that Frank Beamer wanted to see tonight. You know, I've been pretty fired up tonight, and the reason I am, I'm not critical. I'm not being critical of him. I feel for him because I know what he prides himself on and what the Virginia Tech program prides himself on.
We didn't see this coming. A one-sided game. Boston College, all of their games against 1A opponents have been very close, decided on the final series. And the All-State Standings Review will take us to the top 5, all these unbeaten teams. And you see West Virginia, of course, visiting Louisville, which just doesn't quite make the top 5. Game coming up on November the 2nd, Papa John Stadium, Cardinals home field. Log on to ESPN.com to vote for your top 25 in the ESPNU All-State standings. These guys were once ranked as high as number 11. Back-to-back losses. We'll have to see if they can even hang on to any ranking. They don't look like a top 25 team at this point.
No.
Fair catch by Callender on the kickoff at the 24-yard line.
Matt Ryan's really favoring that ankle, jogging back onto the field, and it's something after a big win for Tom O'Brien, something they definitely want to keep an eye on. Southern Miss they have coming up, and then Clemson. They will need him at 100% when they take on the Clemson Tigers.
He's been bothered by that ankle all year. He got hurt in the opener against Central Michigan and really has been limping around.
So I'm talking Florida State. They go to Florida State. When they go down to Tallahassee, they will need a healthy Matt Ryan. That's obvious.
It is a team that's getting healthier in this victory formation for Boston College. They will avenge a behind the woodshed beatdown last year from the Hokies. They're building a promising season. You can forget about the pain of that last-second loss in Raleigh. Matt Ryan, pretty efficient. A couple of touchdown passes, both to Challenger.
He had a game tonight. As the game went on, he became more effective. His receivers, I think, made some plays in that drive where Dana Bible took some chances, and they took it right to the Virginia Tech defense. He was 4 for 4 on that drive. And that was really the drive that finished the Hokies off.
Ryan will go to 10-2 now as a starter in his career. And the Eagles students, all of whom stayed to savor every last second of an important win for the Eagles over the Hokies, who now will limp back down to Blacksburg off a second consecutive loss with, as you said, some soul searching to do.
Well, that's going to be the key. I mean, Frank Beamer, if there's anybody capable of turning this thing around, it's going to be Frank Beamer. But he's going to not only want to look at the film to try to improve, he's going to want to talk to his team about playing as a group, playing with a lot of togetherness. Unity is something that's very important in football, and congratulations to Tom O'Brien with this young a team to be at 5-1 and a Hail Mary pass away from being undefeated. What a great start to the season for the Eagles.
They've enjoyed their showcase game in front of a very supportive student section. Now they head down to Tallahassee to see if they can continue to build on this. We got some players sprinting down to the end zone to jump into the stands there. Keep an eye on that end zone. And one of the great subplots tonight, teammates are calling him Sid Vicious. You now know that it's Appanavicius, and he's with Aaron.
Yeah, but the fans behind him are calling him MVP, Chris. How does that feel in your very first football game?
It's unbelievable. I mean, just to go out there and, make everything, it's an amazing feeling.
With that said, it being your first football game, national television, you're on Good Morning America this week. How were you able to stay so composed throughout the game?
My teammates have been telling me all week, just treat it like practice. So I went out and did that and, got the job done today. But it's a long season and we got to win them all from here on out.
Go enjoy this.
All right. Thank you very much.
A lot of guys did the job tonight as the Eagles defense holds the Hokies to 181 total yards to move to 5-1. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. For more, log on to ESPN.com. For Aaron Andrews and Kirk Herbstreit and our entire crew here at Boston College, I'm Chris Fowler. Sports Center with Scott Van Pelt and Matt Weiner up now.